Hello everyone and welcome to PGL Season 1. It's day 2 and we've got some great Counter-Strike in store for you today. I'm your host Richard Lewis and with me on the analysis desk, no expenses spared, we have got on the far right over there, not politically, it's Natu, the ex-coach of NIP and a 15-year veteran. And in the middle, we of course got the premier CSGO analyst. It is Duncan Thorin-Shields.
Actually, I am where I'm represented politically, because I'm just in that cozy middle where everyone can appreciate my work, you know? I'm amazed. I'm amazed that you told me it was day 2. I don't understand this numbering system. I thought day 1 was kickoff. This is day 1, right?
Yeah,
and then day 2 is like day 1 or something.
It gets confusing.
Something like that. I don't know.
It does get confusing.
Things get weird when you come in. It's like the Bermuda Triangle.
But here's the thing we will remember, of course. Yesterday we had an amazing day of Counter-Strike. 2 great series, actually, even though there were 2 zeros. I guess we'll start with the first one, which, of course, I missed. I was still in transit. But it was Virtus.pro versus Team Liquid. The North Americans, who many people thought were going to be the whipping boys, actually put up a good performance. And on maps that Virtus.pro are known for being very competent on.
Yeah, they've changed a lot. They've coming from a very predictable, slow-paced kind of team to a more loose, to more using their individual skill, and it's really showing. They have a lot of diversity. They had a slow start yesterday on the T side, ended up picking up 5 rounds on T side overpass. That's workable, and then going on a 7-round streak on CT side, actually taking the lead at one point and giving themselves an opportunity, but eventually Virtus.pro just was too much.
Yeah, of the maps, it was definitely the Overpass one that was the most impressive, because I still think Virtus.pro is the best team in the world on Overpass. And usually, unless they're playing other world-class Overpass teams, they'll handedly beat you. They'll put you won't even get a double digits against them, you know. So I thought it was very impressive that they were able to do well on CT side, Team Liquid, and stop what is usually the hardest thing about Virtus.pro is their terrorist side. Like, a lot of the top teams have pretty good CT sides, team for team, but their T side, when it gets going, is really scary, and Liquid didn't really let it, actually. They cut it off really early on, and they had a chance.
Yeah, and at the same time, Virtus.pro did get entries to the B bomb side a lot of time, but it was Liquid's retakes on that B bomb side that was super impressive. Unfortunately, when Virtus got it to the A side, they were not as good from Liquid.
Yeah. I mean, on Mirage as well, the scoreline was a bit more emphatic for Virtus.pro, but it's worth mentioning that it was still competitive. You know, Team Liquid did battle back from what looked to be a hopeless position and sort of made the scoreline respectable at least. So have we revised our opinion about Team Liquid based on what we saw yesterday, or is the jury still out?
Yeah, I'm still not really buying the idea that they can actually legitimately compete with these teams. Like, to me, the Overpass one was a chance. They actually really had a chance to win that one. But actually, that wasn't even supposed to be the map they were supposed to have the chance to. That was Virtus.pro's pick. The one that actually they should have done better on if they were really good, I think, is Mirage, because that was their pick, and that was the one that historically, it's been Cash and Mirage, the maps they like to play. So I think if they really were in like this level of form, if they were about to have a Cloud9-esque breakout, I think they would have done better then than they sent it into 3 maps, you know, and then at least they could have complained like, oh, we would have won in 2 or something. So there was definite improvements. They look good. Like, what I'd love to see now is see them against like Titan or Mouse Sports or Dignitas. Put them against that level of team. Hey, we might have an exciting series there. Unfortunately, this is Virtus.pro, Fnatic, TSM, the former top 3 teams in the world. So they're not ready for that level of competition yet.
It's a work in progress still. I mean, there's a lot of positive signs coming from getting about 3 rounds against the top teams to actually making these games competitive. This is one thing. And there's a lot of positive signs where they're actually constructing these rounds in the right manner. Hiko coming into this team not only bringing his individual skills, but also I think him and Adrian being a more theoretical guy, but Hiko's been a part of very successful teams in the past, so he's going to be able to give his team a bit the insight of how you actually are successful, how do you pace your strategies, like when do you do which kind of strategies and stuff like that. So.
Yeah. And the other game that we saw yesterday, of course, becoming rapidly a classic and a rivalry in a lot of ways. TSM versus Fnatic, 2 huge esports brands, 2 successful CS teams, and they went head-to-head, and TSM actually managed to do a 2-0 over them, sort of bouncing back to what had happened out in Fragbite, where they were beaten 4 maps to 1 in a must-play best-of-5 series, or rather just a straight 5 series. So, I mean, I was surprised by this, even though I called TSM a win. I thought it would be perhaps a bit more competitive. I thought it might go the full distance at 3 maps. Fnatic, maybe not in a good place. You know, they just come off the Champion of Champions for Gfinity, lost to Envious there. Against Team Liquid, we were expecting them to do better today, but let's just talk about that game yesterday.
I mean, it was a great game. Like, at the moment, of all the top teams, it feels like TSM are the best team in terms of creating good series for you to watch. Like whenever they play now, Fnatic, Envious, VP, all the teams they're facing, it's always a great match. It's so back and forwards because they have such a deep map pool too. They can play you on any map, and so really exciting games. They've got some clutches. They've got a really good skill distribution, so they frag well. That really was the key factor in that match for me. Like Fnatic had a lot of great clutching, so they had chances to win. JW had a great map. The biggest problem I thought overall was these last couple of tournaments where Fnatic's been coming top 4 or just second, there's always one person on each key map that just really underperforms in terms of fragging. They can never really get, like the best case scenario is like 3 people do well. Usually it's like 1 or 2 do really, really well and that makes up for the others. There's always one guy's let them down. Like in the last couple of tournaments, it's been Pronax has been a big sore thumb in that sense. But again, when it's someone like Pronax, I can't blame him too much. His job really isn't really to frag. So unfortunately, that means that's why
it's worked in the past as well.
Yeah, that's why in the past, when I referenced yesterday, it was more JW I was looking at before, because when he's not fragging, well, his job is to frag. That is only his job. So if he's not doing it, that's a problem. Now, he was fragging yesterday, but then like Olafmeister took a map off. He had one where he was just chilling out against TSM. So there's something dysfunctional about Fnatic right now. There's no, you couldn't, before the game, no matter what expert and analyst you are, you couldn't sit down and go, I know these 2 players will definitely get this many kills. You couldn't do it. Whereas on some of the other teams, I reckon I could do that pretty reasonably. I know Snax is going to have a great game here. Yeah. No Device will get his 20 kills. I can't tell you that about anything in Fnatic at the moment.
And just to get your thoughts about it, Natu, what would you make of this? Flusher was sort of a player everyone was highlighting. He's had some amazing performances right now. There was a sort of school of thought which might have been shut down before it really got going based on yesterday, that maybe Flusher is more important to Fnatic than Olafmeister right now. Is he the best player in the world? He's certainly coming up clutch in all of these vital rounds. Didn't have a great performance yesterday. And then he took to Twitter and he said, when are we going to stop being shit at this game? And that's a quote. Apologies for the language.
I wonder if that gave some of the North American teams like an epiphany. They were like, what? There's an option? What have we been doing our whole life? But continue, Richard.
But the point I wanted to make there is I almost interpreted that as trolling because it's so invariably not true. I mean, this is one of the great sides, perhaps even the greatest Counter-Strike team ever assembled. So there's a school of thought that maybe he's trolling people a little bit there, but it also could be that it shows some signs of frustration because they're used to winning.
Exactly. It's their standards are extremely high. When they're losing matches like they are right now, they're dropping maps left, right, and center. They're losing to most of the top competition right now, at least dropping maps. So they're really frustrated. They're not used to it, obviously. And it's been such a long time that they've been up here, which is remarkable in itself. So, yeah, it's just a matter of them being, their standards just being extremely high.
I mean, I'll tell you a story along these lines, okay, because it ties into that exact match there. So at the Face It Stage 1 finals, it was the one where TSM had just won PGL, then the next week they went to Face It, and they beat Fnatic there in the semi-finals, and they put Fnatic out in top 4, and obviously, yeah, that was one of the worst placings of the year for Fnatic, because they were used to making the final all the time, if not winning, but just losing to TSM in that fashion, even though actually TSM played, they were still in like lights out mode, playing incredible CS, they beat them handedly in 2 maps there. I thought that at least like the Fnatic guys would sort of be like, okay, listen, they got us this time, like tip your hat, you know, you did well, like we got to go back to the drawing board, figure some things out. Olafmeister was on tilt. Like to him, to lose that game, it was like, basically what happened was, because they'd only lost like a couple of times at this point in time, he kind of like, he couldn't believe it. He was in denial. He's like, they can't be just beating us because they're better. They can't be beating because they're stylish. You know, we are misplayed. We just did something. We gave them the map. So that's the thing. The standards for Fnatic are through the roof because, I mean, I've given you some of these stats before. They've only ever placed outside the top 4 in one tournament ever when they forfeit. So this is almost on, in a way, it's almost on that NIP level of where you expect to win every tournament, if not make the final. So it's weird to everyone else because some of these other great players, they have tournaments all the time where they have like a group stage elimination or they have like a decent run in the semis and they were like, we'll get them next time. You can't be like that when you have these great teams. It's like a great saying I once heard a commentator in basketball say. He said like greatness is greedy. It's the idea that like when you're playing really well, any great player can win the championship when he's on form, you know.
Think of it this way. Yesterday, Fnatic was up, I think, 9-1 at one point.
It was,
TSM Dust 2. End up losing 16-10.
Yeah.
Like, how often do you see that happen?
Yeah. Well, it was an incredible comeback from TSM, and obviously we'll talk about them a little bit more. But let's keep focused on Fnatic. We can take a look at the lineup, and you guys can dip in and maybe pick some players out and talk about some statistics that are going to make a big difference. So you can see there, obviously that's the lineup. And we've got the win rates on each of their maps, which we just want to stress at home. This isn't just offline. This does include online competition as well. But guys, take me through. I mean, you know, let's talk about the constituent parts of Fnatic right now. It is individually one of the greatest lineups ever assembled, no doubt about it, even if it is malfunctioning at the moment.
Well, no, the thing is, when I just recently published my top 20 players of all time in CSGO, and it's something I'd given a lot of thought to because I wanted to like consider all eras and all great teams and really try and figure out like, obviously, once you get down to the nitty gritty at the bottom end, you're really having to pick between small things, what's more important. Most of the teams I had there, some of the really great teams, had like, okay, so I think like the Very Games lineup actually did have maybe 4 names, but that was actually not really from the Very Games. Some of them were from a different team they had later, so they kind of got in the back door with 4 players there. The only team that, as far as I can tell, with their greatest lineup had 4 players on the list was Fnatic, and that's purely because no other team in history that was a great team ever had it where different players literally had like 3-month stretches where they were the best player. Like, I've never seen it in another team. If you're in like a Very Game Shocks type team, okay, maybe Scream had a couple of games where he wasn't very good and MBK was better. But it's not like Shocks ever just became the 4th best player for 3 months and then someone else took over and the support player, you know. Smith's never just carried the game for 4 months, you know. That's really what Fnatic's been like.
Yeah.
JW's had a couple of months off and they've only like stuck a major in his pocket, given him a couple of finals, few, you know, just a small like Pro League title and stuff. Like, they can afford to have that happen sometimes where one role goes a little bit missing or has to adapt in a different way. And so I think that's one of the most unique qualities I've seen in a CSGO team.
Well,
the risk with the way Fnatic plays is, like, the way they play is super reckless, right? Doesn't matter if their opponents are on eco, it's a force buy, whatever. You know, they will just go aggressive. They will play lights out, just running everywhere. And there's a risk involved. Like yesterday we saw, Fnatic was up 9-1. But because of in the second or third round, they lost so many weapons, so that really hindered them going further down in that half. Eventually broke their money, and they lost the rest of the half. Yeah. So that's the thing. Like, when you keep playing that way, it's just, I think it's just, it has to happen at one point that it's just not going to work.
Yeah. You've got to have a plan B. Well, the guy who might be coming up with a plan B is, of course, their coach, Vuggo. We did an interview with him a little bit earlier today, which we're going to show for you now.
Hello, guys. I'm here with vuggo from Team Fnatic. You played yesterday against TSM in an amazing series. They seem to be your kryptonite, let's say. What happened yesterday?
I wouldn't say that we did some major mistakes, but we did a lot of minor ones. And I mean, facing one of the best teams in the world, there's no room for such errors. And I think basically that's what made us lose.
The first map was pretty close as well.
Yeah, it was close. As I said, we feel like we did a lot of individual misplays, lost duels that we normally don't do, and we weren't 100% on spot. And 16-14 still, could have easily gone our way.
Now you're facing Team Liquid from the NA scene. Can you tell me a little bit about the NA scene? Is there a big gap between European teams and NA teams? And what are you expecting from Team Liquid?
If you look at the NA scene like half a year ago, I would definitely say there's a big gap. But I feel like they're coming closer and closer every day. And I think both Cloud9, CLG, and Team Liquid are teams that can compete with European teams as well. When it comes to giving competition to like the very top, they will have to bring a miracle. But there's still, I mean, if we don't play our A game, we will lose. So they're still good.
You have a very big fan base here in Romania. Do you have a message for them?
We love you guys.
Okay, thanks. Back to you guys.
Nice bit of pandering to the crowd there. We always like. It's like you, Duncan. It's what you do, isn't it?
I never pander to the NA crowd, mate.
But anyway, I wasn't bringing it up. I like it. I like what you did. But you can see there, Vuggo, obviously, I think he's been a kind of unspoken part of, in a lot of ways, of kind of Fnatic's success. Back when Devilwalk was the coach, a lot of people were saying he was kind of like the 5th Beatle, you know, the 6th guy in the background, and you know, people were giving him props, and then he kind of went, and the success continued, and you know, I don't really think Vuggo's necessarily got the same level of plaudits.
Yeah, well, they bring Devilwalk and Vuggo obviously bring 2 very different kind of point of view. Devilwalk being an ex-player, being in the professional scene, won a major previously. He can understand the psychological side of things and understands like situations in a different manner. Vuggo being probably more analytical, giving more the numbers and watching from a different point of view. So yeah.
If I had to pick between the two, I actually think overall Vuggo's been a better coach for them. Just because, okay, the team was maybe winning more when Devilwalk was there because that was around the time when they were very, very successful early in the year. But as an in-game leader, he was never even as a player like a super tactical sort of player. Maybe he had some ideas, but he was more a supportive role. So I think what he brought to the team was like the idea of like managing people's like emotions, keeping them in the same place, like making sure people were unified. Like it's actually a coaching thing that doesn't happen in esports often, which is that you get these cliques within teams of 2 players hang out and then one of them doesn't get along with this one, so they stay apart. Well, if you have like a go-between who knows all of them, gets along with all of them, he can be the guy who's the glue in that sense. He unites them in that because they all know him at least and they can trust what he's saying. He can relay information. I think he did a good job of that. But that alone won't win you that many games. It'll help. It's good to have. It'll get you through some tough times. But I think the thing that vuggo's brought is he's doing like real coaching. Like he's really studying demos all the time. He's going through poring over all the information, trying to feed stuff to Pronax. And you've seen, it can't be a coincidence. The era when vuggo's been the coach is when Fnatic has gone from being that like, we must win the 11 rounds on CT, otherwise it's going to be a tight game towards the end, to a team that's winning terrorist halves now, who's taken these timeouts at exactly the right time, coming back and winning 7 rounds straight, 12 rounds straight. So I can't think it's a coincidence that they've changed the coaching philosophy and that they've gotten these new results. So weighing up who was the better in terms of results, that would be hard to do because they've had different successes. Yeah. But in terms of just as like a pure coach, I think overall he's been a better coach. I don't think Devilwalk was ever going to long term be doing that role. I think he just did it at the time because there weren't that many people who could be coaches and it made sense to have him around. He was a former member. But I think this is kind of the future of coaching to me because it's someone where you can see it seems like he manages to coach and give them the information that they can make the decisions from, but without being like too oppressive and having to be like, you have to do it this way, and there's someone being like, I don't want to, and like that, just go with what I'm saying. I think he's got a good balance there.
So let's just bring up Team Liquid as well. Let's look at the team that Fnatic have to beat. And you can see here they are. And, of course, the win rates are very different, although you can see, again, very high on train. Just to stress, again, it does include online results. So let's talk about the constituent parts of this team. You can also see Team Liquid haven't unlocked Hiko yet. That's going to happen a little bit later once they level up, I think, get a bit more experience points
boss
on the board. Yeah. So
he is actually, right.
He's got a special finishing move, which is to leave a team and then always earn twice as much salary at the next one.
Oh dear me, it begins. So yeah, let's talk about Team Liquid though. Let's talk about this lineup and who stands out. Like we talked a lot about Nitro yesterday, how we feel that the sleeper must awaken. But I think it's probably worth talking a little bit about the Liege. I think he's somebody that brings a lot to the team. And you know, yesterday we saw the good and the bad. We saw on Overpass he was struggling a little bit, but then on Mirage actually he was kind of like one of the standout players for Team Liquid. So tell us a little bit about him.
I'll be straight up with you, Rich. He's not one of the players that I enjoy watching, mainly because, for me, he's like the North American Kirby. He's someone where you hear about this talent he's supposed to have. If you watch online games or you watch domestic games, you see him doing well. You see him doing like he's up there with the good players. But when it comes to the big international tournament and it's the big game in a series, he's one of the guys who goes missing. He's having his issues somehow. Admittedly, both of these guys are quite young players. They haven't got that much pro experience. You will grant them that. Like, maybe there's time to develop there. But just because there is time doesn't always mean the person will. Like, I mean, we saw with someone like Device, who I think it's unfair to draw like a direct parallel because he was already a phenomenal player anyway. Yeah. But in terms of as like the archetype of that sort of player who has something left to change, what's interesting is he was discussing this on Twitter himself last night, Device, actually. It's not as though he just, like, gradually, and then he got to, like, oh, well, I'm, like, 20 now, so now it's all over. That's not time alone that did it. He actually kind of had to come to realizations himself over, like, how do I approach the game? What's my mentality against top players? So you can't always assume these players are going to break through in that way. And at the moment, I feel like Elige hasn't. Like, I feel like every now and then maybe he has a half that's good, but if you want to beat the teams that are in this tournament, you probably need to have, like, Fogly, Hiko, Nitro, those people probably have to go crazy because at the moment I couldn't rely for a whole series that Elige will get it done.
I think with young players the thing is that what you have to also train not only is your skills but also your psychological side, your mentality, how you approach games. Young players usually, or more often than not, go into them afraid of losing, sort of. You go into the match, try not to lose, but you're supposed to go in there and try to win. And that's a huge difference of mentality when you're going to every individual battle as well.
This is exactly what Device was talking about yesterday on Twitter. He essentially said that what happened was he'd once had a talk with Devilwalk, and Devilwalk just said to him, like, the problem you have is you're playing not to lose, whereas you should just play to win. And that sounds like a very glib thing to say, a very cliche thing. Oh, everyone should just play to win. No, the point there is, someone like Device, because he knew he had some sort of nerve issues, when he was in the big match, he'd just think, right, just don't make any mistakes. Like, don't do anything too risky. And as a result, he wasn't playing like Device. Like, Device against the lesser team would be like, wow, I respect this guy. I'm just going to go in there, I'm going to kill all his teammates, I'm going to push and kill the next, and he's going to dominate the map, you know. And so he wasn't ever playing like that in the big game. And so these young players, I agree in that sense. Essentially what they have to learn, it's a very hard lesson in life to learn, is you have to be willing to fail. Like, you have to be willing to go to a LAN like this. I've seen Cage and B do it tons of times. Go to a LAN, play a really good team on your map, take all the aggressive peaks, and sometimes you'll have a game where you get 4 kills, and everyone's like, this guy's trash, he should never play. But if you didn't go for all those, you won't have the game where you get the 25 kills, and you won't have the game where you take over completely and you win the whole game. So it's a hard lesson for people to learn, because it's like a life lesson beyond CS, but I think that is something that holds the younger guys back, because they haven't got that life experience.
It's the classic NBA saying, I think it was Michael Jordan, you know, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
It was Wayne Gretzky, but...
Was it Gretzky? Was it hockey?
Yeah.
Man, American sports, it's hard to keep up.
Maybe they both did that.
Yeah, I reckon.
Well,
I reckon I've seen it.
Michael Jordan had a version like
I
that.
think
He said that he succeeds because he'd failed so many times. Because he'd missed the game when he shot so many times.
That's true. Very true. Yeah.
Well, you know, 2 greats.
I have that quote somewhere.
So it's okay.
But by that logic, one day, Adren might be the best CSGO player of all time. Because if you succeed after you've failed, he's going to be amazing. He's going to be like Olafmeister times 2, mate.
I remember from Team Dynamic, you didn't see what I've seen. So
no,
anyway,
I only watch real games. I don't watch Babby's first CS.
Right, all right. We'll get into this off camera. We'll get into this off camera. What we're going to do now is we're going to throw over to Team Liquid for an interview before their match and see how they're feeling.
Okay, guys, I'm here with Hiko from Team Liquid. Tell me a little bit about the match yesterday against Virtus Pro. You played them for the first time, and you're going to meet them again at the Major.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't really have a boot camp coming into the tournament. 2 of our guys actually had to go back home after the qualifier for the Major for school. So we kind of took a vacation a little bit. We tried to do as much as we could as the 3 of us, but you know, obviously it didn't work that well. But looking at the match against Virtus Pro yesterday, Overpass went pretty well, actually. Our T side was not very good. We only got 5 rounds, which historically, at least online, and since I joined the team, our T sides have always been better than our CT. And our CT side yesterday was actually a lot better. So I don't really know what it is. I think maybe Virtus Pro's CT side, like they were flanking us a lot. We didn't really have like proper map control. And I think we kind of addressed that last night. So moving forward into today, I'm pretty confident.
Can you talk to me a little bit about the NA scene?
Yeah, what about it?
Now moving into an NA team, playing a lot of games against NA teams, now playing against European teams. Do you think the gap has narrowed in terms of skill?
Absolutely. I think back then, like when I was on Cloud9, there was only like us and Avapire at the time that could even ever compete with European teams. And now it seems like you have us, CLG, Cloud9, even the South American team, Luminosity, that all are showing up to majors. Like Luminosity has made it out of groups, I think, twice now. So they're definitely, the skill gap is definitely closing. I think we still have to work on the practice schedule we have in NA. It's a little bit worse, well, actually a lot worse than it is in EU. And you know, we're actually, a lot of the top teams are working on actually fixing that. We're trying to get on earlier, we're trying to schedule scrims, we're trying to play all 30 rounds. So, you know, while I think like boot camps in Europe are actually necessary, we're able to at least get decent practice back home.
Now you're facing Fnatic. What do you expect from this match?
Honestly, like Fnatic is in a form that I've never seen them. This is probably the lowest I've ever seen Fnatic. But with that being said, you know, they have players that can just go off at any time. Like Olaf can just carry the game entirely, Flushley as well, and even Crims. So it all depends on how they're individually playing. If they play like they did yesterday, you know, maybe we have a chance. I'm not going to say we have zero chance, but we're going to play our game. We're going to try to do the best we can, and you know, play like just loose and as you know, as good as we can.
Thank you, guys. Back to you.
Thanks a lot, guys. Please tell me someone's got an odd shot of that, right? With just Papa Smurf getting wrecked there. Like, that was brilliant. I loved it. Like, it was just like, so can you tell me about the NA scene? What about it? Next question.
To North America. Thanks. Over to you.
Yeah, it was just like, that's it. It's over. Like, brilliant. Please do that. But anyway, so Hiko's obviously always a confident guy. You know, I think that this new look Team Liquid with him in it is certainly an improvement, a step in the right direction. And you heard him there. He's like, look, we're just going to play our game and see what happens. Now, he obviously knows that it's going to be a tall order against Fnatic, but as he says, they have looked mortal, and we're going to bring up their past encounters. But while we do that and look at that, why don't you guys just talk about, you know, what chances Team Liquid have against Fnatic here?
The biggest problem I see for Liquid versus Fnatic is, unlike those other matches where when I was talking about Liquid, if they were to play VP, it was fragging that I saw being a big problem they'd have. They wouldn't have enough consistent people who could frag. I don't think that's as much of an issue now, because actually I think that's where Fnatic themselves are having their troubles. They're not getting the consistency. Certain players are having maps off. So I think that part could even be even if Liquid plays as well as they did yesterday, which is an if anyway. The big problem I see for Liquid is I don't know what maps they can possibly pick. I mean, we've actually got the map draw already. We know it already, which I guess we'll get to soon. But there was almost nowhere they could have gone, as far as I can tell, that would be really good for them, that would like assure them the series. And actually, when you see what did come up in the end, you'll see that I don't think Fnatic are going to this match at all worried. I think they're pretty confident, because when you see the maps that have been picked, Fnatic's almost doing like an exist and just saying, like, we'll play you on your best maps. Like, let's see how it goes.
Yeah.
What's the worst part about facing a better team? It's a team that has no respect, that's just going to play super aggressive, not going to let you execute, not going to let you really do anything that you would like to do. And that's exactly what Fnatic is going to be throwing.
I mean, that's
at
what they do against anyone.
Well, exactly. So, I mean, this is the worst matchup I feel like that Liquid could have at this point.
And I mean, I cited that stat before, okay, about the fact that, like, Fnatic have placed top 4 in essentially every tournament except one in history, and they've made the final of, like, probably more than 50% of the tournaments they've played, probably like 70% of the ones they've ever played. They've probably won something like 50% of the tournaments they've ever played in. What that means is they very rarely lose series to lower teams.
Yeah.
In fact, it basically has almost never happened as far as I know. Like, I think Cloud9 was the lowest ranked team they've ever lost to in an actual, like, best of X series. Okay, they might have lost a map somewhere, but to lose the actual best of 3, it just doesn't happen. So unfortunately, history is not on the side of Liquid here, even with Fnatic in these difficult situations. Because again, with it being a best of 3, I mean, this is what Virtus.pro found out of the major in the semi-finals. You could be having the best first map in history that anyone's ever seen. You could be having an awesome second map. But if you don't quite close the game out and you let Fnatic survive to that third map, who knows what's going to happen on that third map? Because sometimes on that third map, suddenly they've woken up and then they just win the game. And you're like, what? I was leading the whole way. I couldn't possibly lose. You can't let these great teams hang around that long. So I think if you're Liquid, you have to smash map 1. You have to really get in there on map 2. This can't go to 3 maps if it's Liquid.
It's Ali and Foreman.
You can also ask Envy about a certain Dust 2 map in Cologne as well.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, you know, that was unreal. That's one of the godlike comebacks, you know. 5 match points, and you can't put any of them to bed, and then you lose the resulting overtime 4-0 straight. I mean, you know, Fnatic taking 9 straight rounds against somebody that was comprehensively beating them.
Plus,
just
there's another factor to this match, okay, we can talk about the vulnerabilities of Fnatic and Team Liquid looks better. These are all quite apparent observations that anyone could make. One thing that people probably aren't discussing, though, is that historically, okay, so Hiko, he's played against the great teams. He's played on IP in many series. He's won maps off them. You know, he might be confident in himself. He might be like, listen, I know what my guys are capable of. The other 4 players in Team Liquid have all year long gone up against Fnatic and just taken beating after. I'm talking like 16-1s. They've had multiple 16-1s at Fnatic's hands, by the way. 16-4, 16-3. They had one map I think they won at Gfinity, which I think was Cash.
Yeah.
And other than that, it was just. Not only were they losing the European teams, but Fnatic particularly were just bullying them. And so even if Fnatic is weak in that sense, it's hard to get over that mental block in that particular sense. Like, if that starts to go badly, those Liquid players are going to be right back in that position. And how do they get out of it? I don't know if they necessarily know. Just having Eco doesn't protect you enough, you know.
I think that's the worst mistake Liquid could do is to go fall back into that execute kind of gameplay. They have to keep it loose, because that's, if you play that really slow play style, that's when the aggressiveness of Fnatic is just going to destroy you. It's just going to dismantle you.
Well, we picked out 2 players at the start of the day to sort of highlight in a head-to-head, so we'll bring that up for you now. It's probably no surprise as who we picked from Team Liquid, but you can, or from Fnatic, I guess.
Yep.
But you can see this is what we've sort of highlighted. Olofmeister, who's been, you know, still in good form, really. Still an incredible player. Still the world's #1 for me. Going up against Hiko, who a lot of people see as one of the NA's best players.
I don't like to throw production under the bus or anything, but I feel like you could have picked a few better accomplishments for Hiko than those 2 online tournaments. One was an online cup, and the other was just a little invitational. He's been to a few majors and made some round of 8s, guys.
Yeah. But
you know,
no, in terms
they were trying to do more
recent threes.
I think they were trying to do more recent stuff. That's the problem.
But anyway, so like just looking at their statistics there, I mean, you can see what Olafmeister brings to the table. Just an incredible talent, an incredible player. But Hiko as well, no slouch, and he had a spell out of the game.
Yep.
He's come back into Team Liquid, and he's still showing good form for someone that had a long hiatus.
He's a closer with a capital C. You could say that. He's the most consistent player in making reads in 1-on-X situations that I've ever seen anyone in the past 15 years that I've seen Counter-Strike ever do. It seems to me like when you're watching him that this guy is cheating. Like, does he have a wall hack or something like that? How does he know that he's going to peek this corner right now or that corner? Or why does he take this left turn when he could have just as well done the right one, but still it would have been the wrong one? I mean, just the consistency is mind-blowing.
Yeah, I mean, because he's been out of the game, his actual raw skill level, it isn't at the height that it was at certain times in Cloud9, then earlier in Quantic. He was a much better overall player at that point, but he still has that clutching to rely on. And because it's such a unique talent, essentially, he can let the rest of the round play out with the fraggers. They can decide what situation it gets into, but even when you get to the top level, there's actually not that many superstars that are that good at clutching. Like you see, even in Virtus Pro, Bialy doesn't really get super sick clutches all game long. Actually, Taz probably wins more clutches than him. He's supposed to be the support player. So it's very rare that a star player is the clutcher as well. Yeah. So I think that's what served Hiko well. While he's trying to work his way back in the top form, he's got the clutch ability. And obviously, in a team like this where they were getting wrecked, they need someone like that who can at least put some extra thought into the opponent's mind that, like, hey, this round isn't over just because we're up a couple of kills.
Yeah, I think Hiko's a great example of one of those players who sometimes it's like he does his best work when he's the last guy alive. It's just seems to be able to have that great read on his opponents, understands where everybody is. So phenomenal talent, and we'll see if he's able to execute against Fnatic. Now we're going to get into the map veto. We have got it here, so we can bring that up for you at home. And again, I'll let you guys talk us through what it means. So Team Liquid, I think, sensibly banning out DE Inferno. Fnatic taking out Dust 2, which
here's what's funny.
Sense.
So on the way to the event, I was actually in a shuttle with Elige, and I was talking to him, and I was actually telling him that against Virtus Pro, I was kind of giving him the breakdown, like I'm pretty certain they're going to ban Dust 2 because that's like their auto ban, and he was like, oh, it's good. We don't necessarily want to play Dust 2. So I actually think Fnatic have slipped up there. I think what Fnatic have done is look at online results, and maybe they have a great, I can't remember what it was, but maybe they have a great performance on Dust 2 there. So I think they've made a mistake there, Fnatic, actually. They should have, if I were them, I would have gone with the Cash ban, because recently Cash has been the weak map for Fnatic. Now, admittedly, I always have to bring this up with Fnatic. Weak map for Fnatic means even online against the best teams, 60%, 59%, whatever. That's still pretty good, Most teams, that's like your fourth best map score.
This is a good map pool for Liquid, but at the same time, it just shows the Fnatic just, they just don't care. They have no respect. They just, whatever map, we're just going to destroy.
It's not even that. It's about depth, isn't it? They have a deeper map pool than almost any other team out there right now. So we can see that Liquid get to lock in Cash, which, there is hope for them on that map. We obviously saw Fnatic get took to school by Envious recently. Envious, obviously, a very different prospect.
That is, though, a map, though, that Olafmeister owns.
So the
amount of performances he's had himself is
just
unreal.
on that, So you might have unleashed a beast. And
the problem, obviously,
Fnatic
is
on
pick.
Cobblestone, who are just so good on that map. Again, the only team who really come close to it seem to be Envious right now.
Yeah, I think they're the only ones at the moment.
Fair enough. Liquid was playing a lot weaker opposition in Stockholm, but I saw a bunch of cobblestones from them, and they had some really good pushes on T side. Like they went 12-3 and 11-4 on T sides, and they were not just because they were just like destroying people individually. It was because they were constructing rounds really well, attacking together, they were trading kills super efficiently, and just working, doing very well. So I'm actually really looking forward. This map pool is actually making this match a lot more interesting than what it could have been.
The problem is, when you go onto Cobblestone, that's the map for me where Fnatic aren't just good. Even among good teams, they're like a level above. The only team I've seen at the moment that might be able to beat them regularly is Envious. And Envious haven't played that much themselves. Because I know Virtus Pro are a very good team on Cobblestone, right? But when I looked up the stats for this last tournament of Virtus Pro, Cobblestone was one of the, it was like the second worst map in terms of stats. And I was like, this can't be right. I've seen them, they're phenomenal on this map. And when I looked up who they'd lost to, Fnatic was like almost half their losses on the map. So the point is, even among really good Cobblestone teams, Fnatic, at least traditionally, has been like a level above. And that's why they can even make people respect ban it against them.
I think it's because Cobblestone is a map that it's not so super strategy heavy. It's very much about like intuition, reading plays, all of Meister and that B platform, and people just going through towards A and trying to break ground, and just basically a lot of the rounds for Fnatic go down to the 30-second mark with nothing really happening. All of a sudden, Olafmeister gets a kill, JW gets a kill, and the round's over. But prior to that, nothing was going on.
But the problem is, when I see this map draw here, that whole storyline I had about if you're Liquid, you better win 2-0, don't let Fnatic get into it. I can't see it being possible to win the Cobblestone game. I think that would be a real big outlier. Like, we'd have to see something we've never seen before, basically. Because the way things are going right now, that map out of the whole map pool is the one that I can't give Liquid really any chance against Fnatic on. Against Overpass, that's the one they played yesterday against Virtus Pro. If they're on train, okay, Fnatic aren't the best on train. Fnatic are really good on Cobblestone. We've yet to see anything on a top international level from Liquid on Cobblestone on LAN. So that one, it feels like, is a lock for Fnatic. And now you get down to, well, can Liquid even win cash? I think there's some play there. I've seen weakness from Fnatic at times, even if Olofmeister himself, you can get that sometimes. Sometimes a player individually is great on a map. I said it about JW and Dust too yesterday. He showed it, actually. But the team themselves aren't that great on it sometimes. I think they have a chance on cash. If it gets to Overpass the third map, who knows? Maybe they have a chance there if they can play anything like yesterday. But I feel like map 2, like, I'm almost certain Fnatic's going to win at least one map in this series.
So let's get into predictions then, guys. Obviously, Overpass, the deciding map, as Duncan rightly alluded to there. I mean, do we give Team Liquid a map here at all?
I think their fighting chances, like Duncan just said, it's going to be cash. That's where their opportunities lie.
I think if they don't win cash,
Cobblestone, like I said, they had some good results, but obviously against a way weaker opposition. But it's going to be interesting to see that. But I mean, there's nothing going against saying 2-0 for Fnatic, obviously.
Yeah, that's the thing. I have the similar thinking. Like, there's 2 maps in the series where if they get to play them, cash and Overpass, there's chances maybe they can show some good form. The problem is, it's not like I can write out that Fnatic team on those maps, especially because they're not playing other great teams. Same thing for Fnatic. If Fnatic lose on Cash and they lose on Overpass, they're losing against the best teams in the world on those maps. So you've got to have a really high level to beat Fnatic on any of these sorts of maps. So I feel like actually it's going to be a 2-0 for Fnatic.
So 2-0, 2-0. For me, it's hard to say anything other than a 2-0, but I think Cash could be deceptively close, unless, of course, Fnatic and that Envious game have had time to sort of disseminate that demo and maybe seen where some of the weak points are. But we'll see.
Luckily, NBK isn't playing for Liquid as far as
I was just going to say,
should be all right. Yeah.
Turns out like it was one ridiculous performance from him. Anyway, guys, thanks a lot for your thoughts. We're going to throw over to our casters now. It's going to be brought to you by the boys from Bucharest. It is the PGL heroes, Henry G and Sadakist.
The boys from Bucharest. I like it. The boys are back. All right, well, Henry, they've got the predictions on the table. It's definitely going to be a tough task for Liquid to start things off today, undoubtedly. What are your thoughts, first and foremost?
Well, just judging by the map vetoes, I'm actually pretty confident for Liquid. I think that this couldn't have gone any better for them. In terms of the form we've seen from them online, like we're going Cash, Cobble, Overpass. Like those are the 3 maps I'd want to pick out for them to actually go ahead with this one. Do you share similar thoughts?
I think the map pool actually, did kind of turn out all right for Liquid. That's the thing. They're actually banning in a way that's working for them, but again, they're playing against teams that are just that much better on every map they also have in their pocket. Cash could be interesting, but we will start things off with our Vulcan show. You beat me yesterday, even though we didn't have it live, so your glory goes wasted. We'll see if you can do it again today. I think I'm up first, as always. Henry's up first. Right, you're up first. I can't remember anything.
Have the best one first, and then you move on.
That's right.
That's the trick.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, then. So
explain it.
My picks here coming in. So we can see starting with the VP guys. I've gone for Snacks and Taz. So Snacks obviously had that godlike performance versus Liquid yesterday. Like he somehow got them out of the brink of almost destruction there. He saw them. It was a 16-14 victory, and he had that crazy round on A as well. He had those like 4K entries onto the A bomb side. If you remember when he came on, and somehow won the round for them. Taz obviously a very safe pick as well. You feel like he's the clutch master these days, even though like Thorin alluded, he's the support player, but somehow always seems to come out on top in those sort of situations. So I'm always very happy to have those 2 guys on. Sometimes I have Neo as well on my Vulcan picks, but this time I kind of decided to.
You went away from him.
Yeah, just went for 2 for VP this time. And then going into Karrigan as well, Zipex and Device for TSM. I think these guys are going to do very well today. I think they have a great shout against VP, so I think that's probably justified.
Have you even split?
What do you mean?
Who did you stack?
TSM.
Oh, right, okay. I misread. Okay, I thought you had 2. I can't see it from this angle on the monitor. All right.
It's a little bit funny. So we've got Karrigan, Zipex, Device. Karrigan, obviously, that amazing play yesterday. We've got Device and Zipex. Zipex has been playing really well as well yesterday. He had some really big rounds. He's another support player for the team, but always seems to find frags out of nowhere. Like he is one of the strongest support players in the world, I think, in terms of actual fragging ability, clutch ability. Always seems to step up as well. So very happy to have on board. Device, no introduction needed really. One of the best hybrid players, I think, on the planet right now. Always stepping up with the AWP, rifles, anything you can actually name, he's actually godlike at. So moving on to Fnatic as well, Flusher and JW. I think that's 2 very... Oh, I've got 3 there. The screen's deceptive. So JW, Crims, and Flusher. So stacking up on those guys as well. I didn't pick up any Liquid players today. Feel like I would have liked to, but considering how that went down and how I think the game's going to go down today, I think this is probably the most sensible option for me. So no, I had actually had Hiko yesterday, but he's very expensive in Vulcan, so I actually couldn't justify today.
Well, that's the thing. You can't justify him against the other options more than anything. We'll take a look at mine. It's a good thing your hair looks good today because your team doesn't look as good as mine. So we'll show you how it's done, Henry G.
Okay.
If I don't mind. By the way, Richard Lewis, hockey is Canadian, not American. You're dead to me. So here we go. I started off with VP as always. I took 3 from them. Now I saved a little bit of money here. I couldn't justify Snacks, even though he's definitely the most consistent. Yesterday he was the highest fragging player. 150.7 points, so reasonable pickup. Obviously, you went with him. This is where we differ. But I did go with 3 from VP. I just think that series has the potential to go a little bit longer and be a lot more even in terms of kill distribution. Neo, Bialy, Taz skipped away from Pasha. He was a little bit underwhelming yesterday and a little bit overpriced for that reason. So I actually only saved $3 more than you even doing this. So I went a little higher on TSM, as we'll see. Momentarily, there we go. I took the top 3, Device, Dupree, and Cajun B. Now, I know Zippix yesterday, and Zippix has been on form as of late, actually did out-frag Cajun B, but Cajun B is just so reliable that even in games when they're not winning, like Zippix tends to be great in games they're winning, but in games that they're not, Cajun B is the guy that's still going to get the kills. So I think today, you know, if they don't perform against VP, if things get rough, then Cajun B is going to be more reliable for me. Liquid, I skipped entirely, much like you did. Same reasons. Hiko would have been reasonable. I love picking up Nitro, but just in the company that they're against. As well. Yeah, in the company that they're against, I just don't see it being a warranted pick at this point in time. So then it left me with 2 left over on the team. Have to have 8, obviously, and the most you can have from one team is 3. So 2 from Fnatic, and those 2 were Crims and Flusha. And I had JW originally, and I actually swapped him out so I could get Device. I just think, again, that other game's going to go a little longer. JW, Thorn's been touching on the desk, kind of has to kill. Didn't really kill a whole lot yesterday, and that left me with the option of picking up Flusha, who, again, is pretty reliable. So
you normally pick up Olafmeister. Historically throughout the league, yes, they're a player you like to go for.
I do like to go for him, but he's so expensive. And then I went with Device as the shot caller, where you went Kerrigan. So
okay.
Yeah, it's not bad. Let's do your predictions.
Predictions. Well, considering the map veto, it's a difficult one to go. Obviously, 2-0 Fnatic is the one you go for, but I think that's a fair shout. But I really wouldn't be surprised if Liquid did play out a map out of the bag. I think Cash is a great map for them. They have a very loose playstyle on that. They've kind of really restructured their roles on that map. It's Nitro in the lead, getting boosted up to middle on their T side, being really strong, getting the AK presence in there, and it's really exciting to watch. They've got a great mix of playstyles there. They have the set executions to fall back onto, but they're really good at getting that mid control with the AKs as well. So this is a good map for them, and if they're going to get anywhere in this series, I think Cash is a great start for them.
Yeah, I think Cash is a really good choice. T side's going to be where they start. Obviously, it's their choice, so it's going to be a little bit tougher. And their CT side's awesome. I think that they're actually the best in North America at playing the CT side on Cash. But they've got to get rounds, and that, again, comes down to the entry kills. It also comes down to whether or not Adren's going to pick up the op. He often doesn't on this map, but as of late, more and more he has to get themselves out of binds. So there's a lot to look for on their T side, but again, playing against Fnatic, just so much individual skill. I mean, how do you even find those picks? Fnatic's so good at using utilities to delay things, and then they're just going to obliterate you in one-on-one skill.
Yeah, Liquid need to be very aware there's going to be a lot of aggressive pushes from the CT side coming in. On Fnatic, they're going to be pushing every sort of angle, any sort of positional control you give them. They're going to take advantage of that. So it's going to be a difficult game for Liquid, but if they can stick to their guns, I'm sure they did their homework last night, and they're going to be aware of these sort of situations coming in, but we'll see what happens.
Just a side note as well, anyone who's betting on the games on eSport Gaming, you will get giveaways this weekend as well as the bets that you actually place. So if you head over to their social media, you can find that out. They put me down as 2. I never said anything. What are they assuming? I think Fnatic's going to win 2-1. I'm the only North American here. I got to give a little hope. I'm going to go 2-1. I think Liquid will get a map.
Okay, that's fair enough. I think that's definitely justified. Like I said, the map pool really does favor. I think it's 3 of their strongest maps coming in. So why not?
Yeah, I absolutely. And this is the point, right? With the whole ban one and then pick one, they actually do get to get a map pool that's reasonable, and they ban out the obvious ones. So it's it's pretty consistent. I mean, this is Cobblestone's the only difference from what we saw yesterday in this map pool. Obviously, Cash shows up a little bit sooner in the pool, in the veto process, but maybe that's something they have to look forward to or look to correct before the major, is just getting another map that they can be dead reliable on. Like, they're reasonable at maps, but they're not like super good at any map. I would say Cash, again, the CT side. But they need to pick up something like a train and improve maybe, again, Cobblestone they like, but they haven't had the most consistent results, so maybe improve on it a little more and just give themselves some depth. That's two I want to see more from as well.
We saw Liquid take down Luminosity on Cobble, right?
We did. That was in the PGL actually to get here.
That was actually a really interesting result. That's a map that Luminosity actually famously very strong on as well. So that's actually a cool
Luminosity's struggling a lot.
That's true. Like
their results as of late, it's the worst results they've had leading up to a major ever. So I'm going to be interested to see how they do this time around.
Cool. Well, it looks like we are on the server now. We should be ready to jump in. We've done all the analysis, the Vulcan picks. Everything's been done. We're ready. Cash could be the first map. It looks like Liquid will be starting on the T side. Fnatic obviously on the CT side here. This is actually, I prefer this. Like we had the interview with Hiko before. They actually prefer the T side sometimes. I think that's their stronger area on the map. So let's see what they can do here. Pistol round going to be great for them. They can get that first round on the board and make sure they don't lose those force buys from Fnatic. We know we're going to be coming.
Well, that's the thing yesterday as well, right? You go back to the first game against Virtus Pro. If they hadn't have been ecoed on round 2, then there was, again, it's all what ifs and, you know, like, there was mistakes that both teams made. We could make the same argument either way. But if they didn't get eco, then potentially they could have picked up that map. It was 16-14 in the end with an eco in the first half. So, I mean, you're right. They have to definitely look to avoid that. They need all the early start that they can get, all 3 rounds, and decent efficiency to build up a bank to, even if they lose the first gun, be able to buy in the next as well. I mean, that's the dream start, obviously.
Yeah, they need to make sure
5-0 would be the dream start.
There was a lot of mistakes yesterday in terms of, like, we saw 4-on-2 situations going in favor of VP and stuff like that. So they need to make sure they're actually on top of that. We can't rely on the excuse now, the lack of experience or anything like that. It's key situations like that. They sometimes throw away these Liquid guys. They need to be on top of today. They need to make sure that doesn't happen. If they want to have a chance of taking a map off the Titans, the number one team in the world right now, Fnatic, they need to work out what went wrong in those sort of situations. But now then, looks like we are getting into this first game of the day. So, like I said,
sadly, I'm not into the server. Hopefully, I can get an IP given to me soon. But either way, we'll start off with the preview.
So you can just sit next
to me.
Hint. So
I don't want to sit close to you. I've have to live with you for like a month. It's been hard. Just kidding.
It's more than that. Okay, so
it's more than that.
Liquid then going for 4 sets of armor here, and they're going to have 1 utility player. That's going to be a Dren with the smoke and the Molotov. All 5 players heading towards the B bomb site. This is pretty standard for Cash. Will they be going for the straight rush? So Flush is going to be waiting for them.
He was initially spotted them, but he's gone back to a safer angle. Has to wait for the rotation. They're the only one in, but they're going to come from vents very quickly. So Fnatic getting the first kill. Liquid follows up. Good entries again. Nitro and Hiko combining for 3 kills total, 2 of which went to Nitro. And they shut down the first vent player, but they still have a decent flank coming in from both B tunnels and Crims, who should walk through the vents and with low HP on Fugly easily pick up the first. Hiko's stuck in the corner, has 2 players facing him, and Olaf will eventually get him down. So it's left to Nitro and smoked off. They have a kid on Crims. This is highly doable for Fnatic as Nitro looks to head to the heavens, and because it's smoked off, it's quite obvious. So Olaf's already prepared, and they'll pick up the pistol.
So we saw the B rush coming in from Liquid. Pretty standard procedure there. They had the Molotov chucked into the side to try and flush it. Sorry, to lack of good words there, but it didn't really work out for them. He hit the first headshot there, didn't get the kill, did a lot of damage, and then picked up a frag himself. And then the retake came in, and he just saw the T players getting stifled in the corners there towards Checkers, and then the retake came in from Crims and the vents as well. And he saw Nitro, these great entry frags coming into the bomb site, and he was the last player remaining as well, unable to do anything from that upper ramp position. Olaf just deals with him there, and it's a pretty clean-cut victory. Saving graces, they did get the bomb down. Interesting enough, though, they're going to go in for the force buy this round. I actually like this on Cash. I think this is really viable. It means you can go straight towards A, you can do the set piece smokes going down, and I think that's what Liquid are setting up for. You can see it's some very passive setups here. They're boosting Elige up to middle as well, so I'd assume smoke's coming in, but now then you can see Olaf Mice is actually pushed into A storage. He's going pretty aggressive. He's going towards the locker area as well, so he's aware this might be happening. This is actually the perfect position considering what tactic is actually going to be coming towards him this round.
As he waits, JW spots.
They're changing it up.
The first player, he actually did tag Elige with that scout, but forced out of position. But Olaf's still going to pick up Fugly with that forward angle, like you said, toward the lockers, and he'll be able to bail out as well, should he elect to. Meanwhile, over on B, Flush is going to take down Elige. Again, he was tagged up, as mentioned, from that scouted mid. JW, though, that fire and shots combined took him down to 27, so he's got to play a lot more passively. It'll leave the SMGs in play to find the shots. Maybe wait decently inside the site, but they haven't found any kills in doing it. Flusha waits it out in the right angle and is able to time it so that when he pops out, it's 2 quick kills. Follow that up with Pronax to take down Hiko, and it will be 2-0 for the Swedes.
I would have preferred just the set piece smokes onto A and getting in, trying to get a bomb down as procedure. That would have been much more effective. I think they tried to be a little bit too clever, getting boosted up. Player got taken down, and obviously Olaf got in that advantageous position towards Locker's got the first pick. They rotated back to B, but there wasn't really much they could do with that. They just had the tech lines coming in. Flusher picks up the double kill with the UMP, and that's pretty much all that I said for that round. This is why I'd have preferred they get the AKs this round, and they could have gone against these SMGs and done some serious work. But this time they will have P250s and Glocks, no utility to speak of whatsoever. It's going to be the scout from JW towards middle as well. But Crim's getting aggressive in towards that A storage area. It does a little bit of damage, but takes most of it himself. Goes down to 18 HP. And now the T's do have control of A storage. But looks like they'll be making their way back to B right now. CT's just playing passively. They have got 2 SMGs and a scout as well, so they want to make sure they hold some tight angles. As we said before, but Liquid don't really have much utility to play for. They're getting boosted up onto middle, and it's going to probably go burst out here and try and go together and find that early frag if they can.
They haven't really upgraded much other than one M4, so we'll see if they go for that third round hold and try and get even more economy, or they will upgrade when the AKs come out for Team Liquid. Meanwhile, though, they've got control of Highway until Pronax pops out, but that far away, can the MP9 do it? Doesn't matter. Crims uses the UMP. And although Nitro gets 1 kill, Olaf will close it out from behind quad. And it will be the 3-0 start against Team Liquid. Not what we talked about at all, but they do actually upgrade. Pronax has gone to the M4 already, and it looks like Crims is ready to do the same.
Yeah, he's got 7k in the
as
bank.
he went down, yeah, so he's got to buy up again. Doesn't even have armor from last round.
Interesting enough, though, JW is going to be keeping with the scout, it looks like. He's got 6k, obviously trying to build that huge bankroll here. They can take this round on. They know the money situation in Liquid's not going to be amazing. After doing that force buy in the second round and not getting a bomb down, they're only going to have the AKs in. They don't have huge utility play. They've got 1 Molotov to play with. And now it looks like they'll be going for that middle boost again. It's what we talked about. Elige and Nitro so good in this sort of position. JW does spot them. He has to fall back here as he only has a scout in his arsenal.
Molotov does actually just barely creep over the edge of the roof, so it will cover off the vents. That was his plan, so as not allow them to rush. But as he's gone passive, we do see that just on the bottom of the screen, there's someone inside Z connector right now, and that, of course, is going to be Pronax. So despite that they had to give up mid initially, Liquid haven't really taken advantage of it.
This is the thing. You're having mid control, allowing the T's to have mid control is absolutely fine. As long as you're controlling it and you're playing that passive setup from A, you've got the sniper rifles looking towards Highway. You can handle this situation. You can see the CTs reacting. They're going quite passively towards B as well.
Watch JW, though, because he is slowly creeping back down to cover that angle, and they are trying to get through the vents. Elige just gets in. And if he had been caught with the bomb, that could have thwarted everything. But you're right, it's the B-split, excuse me, coming as Flusha waits. And he's going to throw that nade out. That does decent damage onto both Fugly, Hiko, and now Nitro getting absolutely obliterated when he walks in. That's bomb down out of the hands of Elige. And Nitro falling immediately after. At least Fugly's able to follow it up, but they still have to contend with 1 player in the site and a very fast flank, not to mention a player and having good shot. Nice reaction from Fugly as he picks up his 3rd kill in the round, but eventually will go down. It allows Adren to plant the bomb, but still 2 players to contend with. Flash partially blinds him, and they pinch them together. Crims to get the kill, and Fnatic with the first gun round as well.
I think Liquid are one of those teams, when they go for that mid-control, they prefer players to be there. So it means they can actually utilize their AK potential, the talent they have on this team to get those first headshots on the board. But when they're giving it like that, it seems like, okay, we're going to fall back to the B-split here, but Fnatic is so aware of that. You saw how passively they were in B. They were so set up for it. As soon as that first smoke got chucked, they naded in. Like you said, big damage coming in. And then a huge flashbang to actually just lock that round down. See Flush on your screen, gets the bomb. That's the instant rotation coming in. Gets 2 kills. And then they've managed to get a couple of kills onto the bomb site. JW only getting 1. But then it comes down to that 2-1 of the AWP play comes in. And now Liquid on another force buy here. Only AKs and 3 smokes to play with. And they're going to be looking like boosting up to middle again. But this time JW has got the AWP. And they're going to be doing that run boost to the upper boxes there.
Yeah, make no mistake about it, but gets caught. Elige spots him in the process. So 1 down, and finally Elige following it up. Now they've got the man advantage, make it doubly so, but they still have to contend with Crims. Smoke in front of them as well. Means that Liquid aren't confident in pushing through it. Looks for the second, and Elige gets the hat trick. So 3 kills from him, much like Fugly last round, but this time the difference is they've got the advantage. That nade landed on the head of Adren, down to 22 HP, but more importantly, he does complete the task of planting the bomb. So Pronax has to come back from Highway. Second player, as we saw, Flusha is toward the truck. Second nade, if that bounces back forward, it would catch Adren. It went a little bit deep, looking for Elige at quad, but they'll walk in. Molotov to force Elige out to the right. That'll give JW a chance, or rather Flusha, excuse me, a chance. Pronax actually gets 1, but Flusha goes down. Pronax almost collects both. But Elige will close it out, and Liquid get right back into it.
So much looser play we saw from Liquid there, just getting in, simple smokes going down, and Elige showing how he can work that AK-47, gets 4 kills there. Got a little bit hairy when the bomb was going down, and Dren going down to 22 HP with a touchdown grenade, but he manages to survive and picks up a kill himself. So that's a really positive round, considering the buy Liquid had to bring to the table. Not really much in terms of utility, just a few smokes and AKs. That's a big one for them to get, and it saves them from going to yet another eco here. And Fnatic will answer back. They're not going to have the AWP this time. 5 rifles set up. You can see 3 players heading towards B. That's potentially going to be a straight-on push into B storage, and that's actually going to happen as well. So although they've gone to the wrong position, it means they get great information here. And you can see Crims isolates on the A side by himself, but he's just locking them out with a smoke grenade here. So JW, Pronax actually making their way to T-spawn. This is so big. They know exactly what's going on now. Olofmeister backing up Crims.
And they're playing so fast that if Liquid doesn't do the same, they're going to get caught off. That's happened, but Tor and the spray down from Crims, locked inside the smoke, and Hiko's the third to go. Olaf gets Nitro. Forget that round ever existed, because JW eventually, again, pushing so quick. This is what they did as well to them back at, all the way back at MLG. Of course, different roster for Team Liquid at the time. They had Nafly, I think. Then obviously didn't have Hiko, and it was definitely a huge difference. It showed clearly that Liquid got lost when this kind of pace came out from the CT side. So if they don't stay quick and try and execute just as quickly on the opposite site, then they're going to get caught out.
It's interesting that Liquid opted to rush through smokes there. Crims has had a pretty easy spray down. There's crowd spray. Hope to see what's going on, but the problem is they're not getting map control before they go into these tactics. They're allowing Fnatic to do these B pushes, and it's going to be a full eco coming in from Liquid. So that's a nightmare round for them to win. They won the last one, only get $1,400 from this, but Elige, that's a great start. He's having a great tournament, well, a great map, I guess. The one round they have is all down to him, and he picks up that first frag onto JW as well. Will they be able to do anything with this is yet to be seen, but it's a great start, that's for sure.
Elige has gotten over that boost in middle. Flush is just peeking it now, but thinks better of it. Doesn't want to face too many players at the same time, so he'll limit that. That nade, although it doesn't do damage, was actually clever enough because I don't think it was intended. It blew the M4 back toward the CT side, which makes it harder for the Ts to grab. So Liquid won't be able to recover that rifle. That nade, on the other hand, did do massive damage. 23 HP left on Fugly. Smoke blooms on the precipice of the site, but it doesn't matter because Olaf still has vision and he's taking them all down. 2 kills for him, and Pronax just has to pop out. Anti-eco very successful.
Absolutely. So they lose the first frag to Elige, but they answer back. Liquid once again trying to get into that B bomb side, but that Pronax flusher setup just seems too strong for them to handle, and you can see potentially a double eco coming in for Liquid here. They can't really justify buying into this one. They got the AKs and armor before, and they had a few smokes to play with. If they bought into this, they'd have literally next to no utility whatsoever. So I think they need to take another eco on the chin. You can see Olaf working that vents area there. 2 nice headshots coming in, and Pronax, pretty simple procedure for him. Just Glock players coming into his crosshair there. So, yep, another eco coming in. It's more of a quasi buy this time. I mean, you can get the Tech 9s, Deagles, PT50s, some utility, and I'd like them to just do a fast A tactic with the smokes here. So don't wait around too long for the CTs to actually push and get this intel. They need to begin fast, kind of envious style, and see if they can work these Tech 9s. But once again, Crims using that smoke grenade and to be holding them off. This could be another easy spray down for them as the smokes come down from the T side.
Crims is in such a forward position, though. They catch it again.
He's got enough smoke to play with. He's perfect for him.
Might be able to get himself out. The problem is that they're at door and they're already through, but they haven't spotted him. He's behind them all. They found the 2 kills with the Tech 9s. Elige again with both on the entry, so he's outshining Nitro so far, but look at Crims. If he stays patient, they may not spot this, but does he see the player in the door? Now he's definitely been called, only able to pick up 1 kill. Flusha burns Nitro alive beforehand, but with a bomb down, there's a real chance for Liquid to pick up this round on an eco. They've picked up 2 M4s as well. No armor, so that may be a factor in the aim punch, but not if Fugly can hit that shot against Flusha. Down to 2 versus 1 in Pronax, 14 HP. I think he'll think better of the round. Bomb's not yet planted, though, so there's a chance, and Hiko needs to put this down. He's actually overthinking it just a little bit too much, and Pronax caught in the open. Thankfully, Fugly hits the shot, and Liquid get their second round. But more importantly, do so on an eco.
I think that's fine, just waiting for the bomb plant there. Like sometimes, as soon as you plant the bomb, it essentially becomes a one-on-one situation there. You're taking out the round. They wanted to work out where the CT was, make sure they're in a sensible position there. But unfortunately, we talked about Crims there being such an advantageous area. He was right up. He had so many players on his screen. I think considering it was an eco and they wanted to lock that round down as quickly as possible, take the 2 or 3 kills he had available to him. I think he was going for that movie clip footage and actually wanted to wait so long and allowed that bomb to actually get past him and then got killed from the squeaky door area. I think he could have done a lot better from that position. But there we go. Liquid do get back into this, and that's an eco round win for them. They're going to be boosting up to middle once again.
And this is fast. This is what they need to do. Nitro, though, loses a lot of HP. Elige, rather, and Fugly's gone.
Look at this. They're just so far behind him. JW's ready.
So fast. They're already out A main and boosting exactly, almost touching them by the time they get on top of it. Luckily, Nitro turns back and takes down JW. That should indicate that there's a second player push, so they'll be aware of it, but the HP is so low right now for Team Liquid.
Olof's toxic as well. He just got that B area complete lockdown. He doesn't. No one instantly rotate towards him. Flusher still hasn't done here. He wants to go and find these low HP players they know that are available to them. So the T's have got positional control towards Vent. That's going to be lost straight away. So the last two remaining players have got the bomb. Going to make their way quickly into A.
Smoke blooms, so Crims doesn't have the angle. Doesn't actually spam through it. I thought he might. And that nade lands on both Crims and Flusha, so they go from 100 to 56 and 43 respectively, and that allows the bomb to be planted. But now, how well and how smart can Liquid play this? Down a man and significantly lower on HP. Elige trapped inside the site as well. Flusha's going to enter first. Spot up. He goes partly blind, but still hits the shot. A headshot from the M4, and Elige pops out and takes down Crims. There's only one left, and they just have to play the time. Liquid, he knows where they both are, but they have to get into safety. And Hiko smartly gets above Olofmeister, who has yet to spot and figure that out. So it's going to be Hiko to close it. Very well done.
That's really sick movement from Hiko. That's a great read. He gets that first kill, knows he has to change up his position, as obviously that gives him himself away. Gets to that upper area, and Olof didn't even consider that. Such real smooth movement from him. That's actually break the Fnatic economy here as well. They're going to go down to a full eco. So Liquid coming alive now. Some really impressive rounds. Obviously that eco win has been their saving grace as they take that AK round. And now 6-3, potentially 6-4 as well. So Liquid fighting back here. And that mid boost looked like it was going to go horribly wrong for them.
That was
JW
clever.
pushing behind. And then somehow he only got one frag in that position. I thought he was going to clean up.
Yeah, Nitro turned to get that shot. So it was actually a huge kill for him to pick up.
Yep.
And he's been a little bit more quiet than we're used to. 4 kills total. It's Elige on 8 that leads the way for Liquid. Crims overall. Actually, I'll take that back. Olofmeister overall on 11.
Yep, so now it's going to be pretty much a full eco from Fnatic. They've got 3 PG50s and some silent USPs on the board. Olofmeister pushing into the lockers area once again. Actually, he's squeaky, sorry, the minimap deceived me. He's pushed all the way through, and this looks like Liquid are going to be going for that B-split once again.
And this is so aggressive. Fnatic, they just continue to play fast. This time, though, with the pistols, it may not be enough. Elige, Hiko, Fugly. Next up, Nitro, follow that by Adrenaline. We'll have the Team Eco, but or rather Team Ace, excuse me. Anti-Eco. But that's not going to happen. Elige has already doubled up. Bomb goes down, and although they lose Fugly in the end, they still pick it up with 4 players left alive. So very important that they stay efficient. And 6-4, they pulled this back to only 2 rounds difference.
So Flusher picking up the scout now. It's going to be a difficult buy for them. They haven't got head armor, obviously not going to be a huge factor against the AKs, but let's see how this one goes down. They've only got 4 smokes to play with. JW yet to buy. He's only going to get the rifle. No utility whatsoever, really. So
1 kit as well. That's for Flusher.
So I'd assume we've seen some very aggressive play for them coming in. That kind of has to happen again. They need to make sure they go for those first frags, try and lock down what Liquid are doing. We've seen Liquid investing most of their men to one area of the map at the start of these rounds. So Fnatic are aware of that. That's why they're pushing all these sort of positions, getting away with it sometimes as well. It's not going to be boosting up into the defensive teams, but all the smokes coming in and that mid control should come to fruition for Liquid once again.
JW has already rotated up highway, though, so despite the bias, yeah, good kill by Pronex. Responded, though. Good trade for Fugly. Down to 7 HP, so still slightly favors Fnatic in that sense. But man advantage, the problem is they're walking onto this A side, and it's stacked up. And Flush is already rotating as well, so it's going to be extremely hard for them to walk in. It has to be perfect shots to go against the skill of Fnatic. And Crims is going to creep even more forward in behind the forklift. Elige is in that corner, and if he gets spotted, it's a very tough position to battle his way out of. Specifically with no smokes, but he's actually going to get the shot on Crims. It looked like he was a bit sleepy there as he didn't react right away. Either way, it doesn't matter. They've got another kill, and he walks in. He does go down to JW in the end, but Hiko popping out from Squeaky will get the shot to follow it up. Olofmeister through the forklift, turned back, and Hiko gets him inside the smoke. And thankfully, they fixed the hitboxes around that forklift, because that was one of the most annoying things in the game. Regardless, it's now a 2-versus-1 post-plant situation, again favoring Liquid. Flusha spots the man boosting above, and Adren not yet able to hit the shot. Eventually will, and it'll be 6-5 with 4 rounds in a row now for Liquid.
Yep, getting in there, making sure they got the job done, and Lige just playing very patiently there. Gets that boost kill onto Pronex, I think it was, and now it's actually going to break the economy once again, and we can see potentially Liquid getting back into this series. Now it's going to be a pretty much full eco. We can see ZZ, Desert Eagles, and a 5-7 being purchased, but Liquid are going to be aware of this. They saw the scout being purchased last round. They know the money's not great in the CT camp, so they just need to play a much more defensive game this round to make sure they work out what's going on. I'd like to see them spread out a little bit more, actually get some players towards the B area, just wait a little bit longer and see what they can do. They could be boosting up straight away, going for those mid picks. Not going to find anything here. There's no CT players there whatsoever. Just going to be molotoving off the vents as well. Just trying to work out where the CT stack may lie. Good nade being done to A storage. They're going to be pushing in as well. So CT's going towards lockers once again. It's going to be Crims waiting this time.
The problem is Crims is so low on HP, and he's got to cross back over, but he's actually forced Hiko off of this. So he'll get that escape plan back to A. And I was about to question and start to wonder, when does Fnatic slow down these aggressive pushes? Because although they have pistols this round, they look so good initially, again, that boost play, but they haven't actually been paying off. And if Liquid starts to catch on to that and find the early pick every time, if they can read it, it's going to be even more problematic. As Elige does take down Olofmeister to start it again. Crim's low on HP. He's inside the A site alone right now, but JW is coming back over to his aid.
Yep. Fnatic really did go for the B stack that time. It has been an area Liquid have favoured on these sort of rounds, but this time they will be going for 5 players towards A. The CTs are rotating over, so Nitro going to be leading the charge. We know how strong his entry picks can be, but not going to help this time as Crims takes down 2, and he makes it 3 actually. That's a huge play from him, brings it to the 2-on-2 situation.
And he was spotted and yet still picked up the second 2. The first one was understandable, but the second 2 were even more impressive. As Liquid now find themselves in a 2 versus 2. No guns picked up. That's the saving grace as Flusha and Pronax limited to the Deagle and the CZ75. The bomb now planted. Hiko just has to close it out. Finds Flusha, but where's the second man? He doesn't realize he's up above. He'll hear him drop down and hit the shot. 6-6. Liquid have brought this right back.
Yeah, so Crim's even on low HP, somehow managing to pick up 3 big eco frags there. Not going to be... Well, not going to lead to a round victory, unfortunately, for him, but they do some decent economic damage. But in the grand scheme of things, Hiko's currently set on 13k, so it's not going to make a huge difference. Now the double AWP setup coming in. It's going to be Olofmeister and JW. They've lost a few rounds in a row here. It's actually getting a little bit messy for them. So Liquid fighting back. This is a good setup from Fnatic. I like this approach. Actually, playing a lot more passively, I'd assume, and trying to work the initial picks instead of pushing so aggressively and trying to force the issue onto Liquid.
Pronax, though, still wants to go as close to mid-garage as he can. Nitro is usually quick to go through that smoke. They usually flash him in this situation. He's going to flash himself this time, but Pronax has gone back into the vent, so luckily he'll get through. Meanwhile, though, Crims is doubling up again. Elige and Nitro both gone already, and there's the third as he takes a Dren. 6 kills in the last 2 rounds. The impact he's had, absolutely massive right now. Again, this time it's not a 2 versus 2, it's a 2 versus 5.
This is the thing. So they went for the double orb setup. That allows them to have this mid presence again. 3 rifles in middle. They know that's an area Liquid like to boost up onto, and Crim's getting those 3 stellar kills there, and the AWP's just anchoring at the bomb sites. So now it's going to be Fugly and Hiko. They have lost bomb control as well, so not really much you can do. Fugly needs to find a kill right now. CTs are aware they have the bomb as well, so just need to keep the setup they've got currently rolling. And
a good point you make as well. Fnatic's famous for running the ops in the sites in 3 mid, whereas some teams will still place an op in middle at Z connector, maybe one at A or B, but support with the rifles. This is a whole different setup. They coined this sort of 1-3-1 defense, and it's just a matter of closing out the round now. And there it is. Flusha will get it. Finally, Fnatic answer back. Now, this also crucially resets a money bonus, so very important that they kept all 5 members alive and both ops up. Excuse me.
Yep, you're absolutely right there. So it'd be interesting to see what kind of setup they go for this time. Will they keep trying to roll with this one, keeping the AWPs anchored towards those bomb sites? Wouldn't be surprised now if they could go for advantageous AWP peak at the start of the round, go into A storage, for example, go for that first pick, try and surprise them, be a little bit more mobile. But here you go, Crims on your screen, picking up 3 great kills there, just showing that mid-crossfire working out so well for them. It looks like a very similar setup coming in this round. So 3 players, going to be the riflers heading towards mid this time. Pronax getting up close again. This time actually positioning himself within the vent. You can see Liquid spreading themselves out there, waiting for any sort of aggressive play this time.
Well, this is the thing, right? And not only have they now slowed down their fast play, they're baiting out utilities because of it, because Fnatic has to expend them, and they know that they've been pushing. But Flusha's still able to find a shot onto a Dren this time as he walks through. So they're going to commit to this still. Nitro walks in as well, and Crims is still there. They need to be aware that this mid is stacked due to the fact that they've got these AWPs. They need to read that exact play that you mentioned, because now they're down to another 2 versus 5. Elige and Fugly will work it together toward the B site, but Crims is going to push into mid and get that information that they've rotated away, so it's a matter of which site they're going to. And they found it out. Olofmeister with the first kill, and Fugly will follow into the grave. Fnatic now get to 8. Can Liquid get 7? It's going to be tight because they're low on income. They'll force regardless, obviously, in round 15, but it's not going to be ideal.
Round number 15, obviously, you're going to buy into this, but they're going to get AKs, Tech 9s. I think they're going to be favoring the utility here. I mean, you can see Crims could be mixing it up a little bit, getting a bit cheeky, getting the auto sniper in there. I think Cash is one of the most viable maps for this gun as well. So many wallbang opportunities towards middle, towards the A bomb site, and obviously the shooting through smokes, there's a lot of tactics will be employed. That works really well for him. So this is a great time for Crims to pull this one out. Will he be able to make it effective is yet to be seen. You can see the Liquid players going to be going towards the A bomb site. You'd assume quick smoke out a squeaky door, try and do some flashbangs, and get the team to swarm the bomb site. Maybe smoke towards highway as well, just take away that vision. But JW is going to be set up there towards MBK. Looks like they're setting themselves up for that. So Hiko going to be doing that smoke out of the squeaky door, as I alluded to.
The bounce smoke does deploy perfectly in front of JW, which renders that op in a really tight position, but it is JW, let's not forget, and he'll hit Hiko. Misses the second shot, so Adren has a chance, but not a chance enough. 9-6. Liquid do well to get themselves 6 gun rounds, but Fnatic answer back.
Yeah, absolutely. A really nice setup towards them. They adjusted to what Liquid are doing. They seemed like they may have been a little bit overzealous sometimes with their pushes. They actually thought they were a bit too confident, I think, pushing through into A storage or pushing B. Did work out for them a couple of times, but Liquid soon caught on and actually bounced back and broke the economy down. They got 5 straight rounds in a row, which is pretty cool for Liquid.
And to be fair, you said overzealous. If you again, I mentioned the last time these two teams met, of course, it was the old Liquid. That's how Fnatic beat them. They just kept rushing them on Inferno and just said, we don't care, no respect. Now I think they've realized, okay, this team is a lot better than they used to be. Obviously, they get away with 9-6, but they've exactly that. They have to play a lot more standard and more traditional.
They win the pistol, went 3-0 and got 9 rounds. Like, that's still a pretty decent half for Liquid.
Absolutely,
that point, right? So we saw the B rush coming in from Liquid. We talk about that being pretty much the go-to tactic on this map. It's very difficult to CT to hold that one off. I don't think Fnatic will bring the same idea to the party. Saying that they have got 5 sets of armor and no utility. So if they are going to do something, you would assume it has to be a rush just to have that surprise element. Let's see where they go towards. It's not going to be B. It's going to be towards A. It seems like 2 players going towards middle as well, but Bomb going to be making his way back towards B. They're going to be holding, perhaps. CT's stacking 3 players towards the B-Bomb side. This is actually good. They're waiting for the rush, and now they can push through as a little squad and start dissecting the map and working out.
Look at this crossfire set up in the connector, though. Elise, is he going to get spotted from there? Just gets by. JW doesn't see the move. The problem is now that they've also not spotted him in that B connector, so if they go B,
this is crazy.
They could walk in right behind Liquid.
This would be a nightmare for Liquid.
And the bomb is there as well. Nitro getting Olafmeister might actually indicate to them that B is the option as well, because they've lost a man and HP. Now they've spotted Liquid behind them. Flush is going to pop out from A main. They haven't yet hit the shot. And watch out, because Pronax is coming through. Good shot from Hiko to respond. Bomb's now down, but it's so far into the depths of T territory that Hiko eventually has to deal with the fact that every Fnatic player is coming back toward him, and it puts us back into a 3 versus 3. Flusha on 2 HP, though, 1 shot. And he's holding the bomb, interestingly enough, so if that 1 shot comes in and time continues to tick away, how bad would that be? How unfortunate would it be for Fnatic? They almost need to pass that off, as he's actually going to rush into middle as well, follow JW toward that highway. Crims, though, hitting Nitro, saves JW. And they've got A open, and Crims looks back, but there's Adren to pop out. Nice shot to start things off. Bomb's going to be planted by Flusha, so he at least makes it to his intended destination. How much further he'll get, hard to say. Running very low on fuel, and Adren's just going to wait now for the flank to come in, because Fugly's on the move inside A main. He's going to check toward that locker position just to be sure he's not going to get caught off guard. But it's actually going to be Catwalk, where JW is playing up above, and if he doesn't spot it when he walks out, it could be problematic. Fugly does hit it, and now it's 2 HP on Flusha to clutch out the round, and it's going to be Adren to take it. And Liquid will take the second pistol.
Yep, so we saw that push coming in from Liquid. It seemed like they actually were.
Thankfully, they have a kit, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely. It seemed like they were going to make the wrong decision. They went too far, and it's like Fnatic were just waiting in that connector area. But JW does get spotted. They work it out. Hiko found the frag there, and it comes down to the 2-on-1. It's a really nice retake there. Great shot from Adren as well from the connector, finding that player towards highway. That was fantastic from him, and a very vital shot he landed. But let's see where Fnatic go with this. I think they're going to be going for the AK's next round, which is what Liquid opted not to do last time. I think it was a problem for them. I would have preferred that to happen, but this time Fnatic going for Desert Eagles and some P250s. And interesting enough, Liquid, they should be aware the AKs are coming out next round. Going to be going for 3 SMGs and the Famises. So big round for them. They want to make sure they don't lose any men here whatsoever. They want to have the best buy possible next round. They're going to be going aggressive into A storage as well.
Okay, they didn't do it that time.
Are you looking for the boost?
Not the boost, but there's an interesting flash that Hiko throws. I'll explain it a little bit later. It's kind of a chance flash. It's not really a high probability play, but usually they do it when Elise pushes through checker like that. But as we talk about it, the rush actually does come into A, and Fugly is going to obliterate them with the P90. It's Eco going very well. Just make sure Adren doesn't go down. He does take JW. Nitro's on 25 HP. He's the only one that's taken substantial damage so far, so they'll let him push forward and try and find Crims. But Crims, meanwhile, is walking out from Squeaky. Deagle in hand as well. He's spotted up by Adren as the door opens. And now they'll all focus toward him, and Fugly's going to look for his 4th. And Hiko stole it. The nade actually gets it, but we're 1 round away from being tied back up on 9.
Well, here we go then. This is the round we assume. Fnatic coming with the AK-47s, which they do. The problem is they don't really have any sort of grenades to work with. They've got 1 Molotov and 2 flashbangs. A real big problem on map like Cash. You need to be able to smoke off some key choke points here. Just on your screen, Fugly getting that nice 3-man P90 spray down through the smoke.
So the flash that they throw, it's very low chance, but Hiko will knife out the window so that you don't hear a gunshot, and then the players turn thinking it is a flash coming through, and then he throws the flash.
Right. Okay.
So anyone toward Toxic will get blinded up. Flash, a great start with this early buy. Elysian Fugly gone. That was very, very quick. He's downed in the end by Nitro's nade, but it does give them a man advantage.
Yeah, the CT's probably going for that CT aggression. They knew they're up against it with the Arsenal that Fnatic would have there. They're almost gifting Flusher 2 frags. Does go down to a 4-3, so the CT's not out of it just yet, but it's going to leave one of the players isolated, Hiko, onto the A-bomb site. He just gets some backup from Madren now.
And this A site's normally very strong for Liquid, but the problem is that Elysian Fugly have been the ones playing it so far. Nitro's kind of been switching his position up, and that's exactly where he's been more prone to be in that Z connector. They lose the last 2 on A, and it's just down to Nitro, and his HP, 19, and he's gone already. Pronax finds him, and Fnatic having that early bomb plant and the early guns get back before we can knot it up on 9s.
Yep, so they, like we said before, they had the Famouses, they had the P90s, they knew they were up against it. They had to do something to find that initial frag. They went towards the B storage, and I didn't see the frags, but here we go. So that's the aggression they showed, and then pretty simple spread down for Flusher. He goes under 11 HP and gets finished off with the grenade in the end, but that's the round pretty much in the favor of Fnatic at that stage. But no, we've lost a player for Liquid here. And I'm not sure what happens here. If you pause after the freeze time, does it
they can call stop on this. They actually called for pause, which would have gone into the next round, but eventually they did call stop. Ebot should replace this, so God help us that Ebot doesn't act like it did yesterday, and it will allow them to just medic to the start of that round.
Love you, Ebot.
Yeah, please don't hate us. We don't hate you. I hate you.
So it looked like Liquid were pretty much on a full eco there after losing that round. I think they had about 2k average across the team. I didn't actually see the scoreboard, but let's see.
He's back in already, by the way,
oh,
as we can see. So they should be able, yeah, medicked already.
So the guys at the money is not too bad for them, actually. Liquid have about 3.5k average, it seems like, considering Elysian only had $1,500. So let's see what they can do with this one. They are going to be buying back into it, but no kits being purchased once again. There it is. Adren does pick one up. He knows what he has to do. That's fine. So Fnatic now looks like they're actually facing towards a B side. Will they go for a straight-on rush? Yet to be seen. We are quickly back into this one. It's going to be 4 players heading towards the B side, so maybe they are going to be going for this. Olaf Meister maybe just holding the vents play and seeing what we can do.
Really aggressive push from Nitro and Elige. This does, again, put a bias on B, but no one's directly in the site. It's Hiko and Checkers below the vent. He's going to have to find some very quick kills against Crims, JW, Flush Up, Pronax. The only one not there, Olaf Meister, and they're going forward. Hiko's able to slide back into safety as that nade comes out, but he's definitely trapped inside Checkers now. He manages to pick up the first kill on JW, but they're still going to push onto his position. He needs to get a rotation through vents to save him, and it's not going to happen fast enough, and Crims will find Elige as soon as he tries it. So it doubles up for Fnatic. They answer back, and in fact, they've got a 2-man advantage. That's gone away a little bit as Nitro does get back in with 1, and Olaf's owning these vents. And I think he's heard Fugly coming through Z connector when he dropped past the railing, so he's just going to stare and wait, spots, fires, and nails it. 11 rounds now for Fnatic, and Liquid this time will be dead out of cash.
So knowing they had their rifle advantage going into that one, Fnatic went for a contact B play, which basically means you send 4 players over towards the B bomb site and you start walking in, you start working out what grenades are there for you, wait for those smokes to go down, and then assess, wait until you see a CT, and then you can burst onto the bomb site. They flushed out Hiko there. Hiko did pretty well, actually. He got 1 frag, then delayed them for quite a long time, but he went down and he was the only player towards B. They took a gamble towards the A site and middle, and didn't really work out for those. Now they're going to be onto the full eco here. They only got 1 2P250 to play with, 4 USPs, and they're going to be doing a 3-man stack towards B. Those could work out in terms of the numbers, considering that's where Fnatic are heading towards now, but they're going to be taking this methodically as they use their grenades, and Pronak's going to be leading the charge here.
For the entry, good Molotov. It will displace, in fact, burn alive Pronax as they naded on top of it, so the fire is enough to take down Elysian. Now they walk in. Again, this crossfire is set up still, but it's going to be found out, and Flush is the one to do it. He'll get the 2 final kills, and now Liquid really have to play smart. If they want back in, it's right now.
Yeah, so you can see Fnatic, this absolute gods with these Molotov in this map is one of such a huge factor. We saw last round, they're flushing out Hiko this time, just working out where the stack is on B by getting that up to that position and not even having to face it because they know the CTs are probably there, and here comes that alley-oop set up. Molotovs, grenades, boom. What can you do? Down he goes. But there we go. Now we go into round number 21. CT's going to have full rifles. No AWPs being purchased just yet for either team. But the CTs definitely need to get back to this one. Once again, not a single kit purchase. So need to ensure that bomb doesn't go down. Want to be looking for early frags potentially, yeah.
So it's Nitro and Fugly back on A this time. That's the default setup. that they used to run, and it's extremely smart. They work so well together.
JW though, shared the highway already, and does some decent damage onto Nitro, but
Well, this is the thing, right? I mean, if Nitro and Fugly want to have a fighting chance, they need to be able to contain mid, because if they get split from highway, the way Fugly plays behind the red crate, he's actually very open to where JW is looking to try and attack that time. So just that little bit of pressure from Adren has slowed it, but Flush is still creeping forward. It's Elige that has to shut him down now, and Adren's rotated to Truck to try and help from a distance with the M4, but he's come back as they get Flusha pushing through. And they know JW's still here, but they need to get this second kill and rotate quickly. Unless Nitro and Fugly can have that 1-2 punch effect, they're going to try and look through that flash. Catches Fugly, and now the door will open. Nitro's on fire, but he is going to get at least one. No, he doesn't. It's only left to Fugly, and he goes down to JW, so it's a 2-on-2, and both players inside A are gone, allowing the bomb to go down so quickly for Fnatic.
and then you really start moving now because, as we mentioned before, no kits purchased at all. CTs don't have time to mess around here. Hiko, get a spot JW, does some decent damage, but not going to find the kill.
Did do damage, like you say, though. That might help just enough as Hiko pushes forward still. Olaf's looking forward. Olaf pops out, and he will get a lead. It's down to just Hiko, and he's the man you'd want in this situation. And thankfully, Olaf's low on HP as well, as Hiko finds at least one. But JW, as mentioned, just needs to play time, as there is no kit, and he's doing it correctly so far. Hiko, desperate to find him, but the time's gone. It's going to go the way of Fnatic. And now Hiko just has to run to save his life. 22 HP. He should be far enough. No, he's not. He's gone.
It's a difficult round for Liquid to take on the chin there. Did everything they could with that rifle setup. Actually got the frags that were required, but obviously no kit. Not going to lead to a round victory there, and that's going to put them onto another eco here. And considering the scoreline, it's a really difficult call as to what they should be doing going into this one. You can see they're probably going to be sticking with the full pistols here, maybe upgrading some of the to P250, some CZs perhaps, but that seems like all they can really do here, as it will go to round number 14, you would assume, towards Fnatic, considering they have the AWP on JW now. He's got the decent spawn, he's going to be facing towards middle, and I don't think there's going to be a smoke to hold him off. Yes, there is, but it's the 4-man stack from Liquid. He'll be pushing through that smoke as well. This could work out if he can get in.
Elige yesterday was prone to peeking a little bit too aggressively. This time on the pistol, he manages to take down Flusha, so a good start. Doesn't feel confident enough to push past Red Crate to try and grab that gun. But it's there for the taking if Nitro wants to take the long flank rotation. And they are still attacking onto A. Flashes come through, blinded up. And the counter flash actually catches JW. Or rather, it was a bit of his own, I believe. Regardless, Olaf Meister goes and gets 1, 2, 3. Down goes Elysian Fugly, and the last man on the site is Hiko. It's left to Nitro, who's picked up the AK-47, and I imagine that's going to be extremely valuable as Fnatic is about to hit their 14th round. Yeah. And the economy's been the story. Liquid had a great chance on the last gun round, and they couldn't close it out. And that's going to hurt. I mean, that might just put them out of reach.
No, here we go. They take another eco. They do get 2 frags, and Nitro getting the AK definitely is going to help strengthen that economy, seeing as it was pretty low going into the last round. So he's just going to want to try and stay alive for as long as possible. The 3 remaining terrorists, though, are aware of this situation. Going to be slowly hunting and see if they can find anything. JW is checking his squeaky door area, but I think he's pretty sure he's not going to be there. He's just wanting to make sure. Now they make their way away from the bomb, and Nitro should survive as well. So we go into round number 23. It's going to be 14th on the board for Fnatic. Touching distance now to map points.
And here it is. Yep.
Changing up. So that passive setup they do towards middle, when they don't actually play on all middle at all, works a lot stronger when you have the AWP on the A bomb side playing from quad. It means a shot going towards highway, you actually have a viable chance of getting a kill instead of just doing some pepper shots down towards there and doing a little bit of damage. So this is going to work out a lot better for Liquid if they do. If Fnatic do try and get that mid control once again, but JW on the AWP as well. So here we go. Obviously one of the biggest rounds of the game so far. Olaf Meister going to be boosting up players now. It's going to be JW with the AWP as well. Gets a shot onto Nitro. It's a great way to open it up.
Massive way to open it up. Down a man already. Hiko and Elise are still inside that wall of smoke, so they've gone forward enough not to be spotted. But this weakens everything, and it leaves Fugly alone on the A site. They're walking in. Hiko's at least got JW so he can rotate fast, but Fugly's not been spotted. He's going to get Olaf Meister, and yet to turn around, he'll fall back. As I lose all my words into the A garage, and that actually gives Hiko the rotation to take down Pronax. So Liquid fight for at least one more. I thought they'd turn back onto Fugly immediately.
Well, that's the positional control he had, and he manages to capitalize on that one as well. So they get round number 9 on the board. They keep a decent amount of weapons in their arsenal as well. So money's not going to be too bad for them. But the problem is they have not come nowhere near to breaking the Fnatic economy yet, as they do have another full buy coming into this round. This
will be it, though. This will break them if they can win this round, and that would be the really only chance that I see back into this game.
Let's see what they can do.
Well, it would be match point with essentially no buy in the next, so this is their only way back into this game. Bomb intentionally dropped. Mid garage, run boost successful. Fugly's in the corner. Nitro, he's actually going to give up the ace site and allow Fugly to hold this. But the thing is, he held from the exact same spot, not boosted. He was in the lower box. So we'll see if they check it this time, because that was actually what swayed the round heavily last time.
I'm actually going to be leaving one player towards the A-bomb, so that's the guy boosted. But JW opens it up, takes down the AWP player of Adren, and now they get full mid control. And this is a problem, because we talked about that AWP player playing from A and playing the passive role there onto highway, but Liquid are going all in on this B-bomb side. They've got 3 players towards there. They're just going to have to hope now. They've got no intel whatsoever on the map. They don't know what's going on.
And the problem as well is that they have 3 players on the platform, and we've already seen, and you mentioned it, how well Fnatic use Molotovs. The good news is they've only got 1. It's on Flusha, but still, that's enough to move 1 player, disrupt the crossfire, give them a pick on entry potentially, and it becomes a lot more awkward. Fortunately, Flusha's thrown that to Checker. So now they can actually sit where they are, and this could work out.
Well,
but the bomb's gone back toward A. Now it's on Fugly. They've put a lot of faith into him. He's arguably one of their better CT players. Hiko gets desperate to look for information and finds the bullet from Flusha. That's about all he'll get. And they've got Fugly already. He got Olaf Meister, but they walked in slowly, so they were able to trade it with Crims, and now the bomb's going to go down, and Liquid faced with a very tough decision. If they save here, they'll be able to drop 2, but it will put them on match point for Fnatic. And the economy, if they could win it, would be broken and give them a real chance back into it that they've now obviously made the decision to concede.
You can see Fnatic are hunting for this. They know if they can take these rifles off them, it's going to be so valuable and help them just close this one out. Both players towards Toxic for Liquid, so Nitro and Ali just waiting. And you can see this getting really dangerous, and now Fnatic are probably aware as to where they may be and going to start grenading towards that area as well. They're going to have to give their position away just to try and hold them off as long as possible. Bomb is going to go off, and now will they be able to survive? Pronax does take down Nitro. Ali's going to be just about surviving there, and that's going to be huge considering looking at the CT money. 1 player on 6k is going to be Hiko, and Ali saving that gun really does help out and give them a real fighting chance going into this round. But you have to think, Matt, this one may be done, seeing as we have 5 rounds to play with. Well, 6 if you include this one for Liquid to try and stay alive. Considering the way Fnatic are playing right now, looks like they're going to be going for a pretty simple play. This contact B play again once again.
Adren's gone glass cannon. Last ditch effort. Match point, or rather map point.
Yeah.
As it is a best of 3 for Fnatic, and that nade already touching down on Hiko. That's 15 HP already that he's got left. Elige as well is pushed up in mid. With the AK, he managed to save again. Has the kit as well. So that kit's going to be really far forward if he goes down right now, which could also be a problem. But if he can find the shot on Flusha, it would at least pull them back to within a chance, within a shout. Flusha's going to smoke himself off as well, so he may look to escape on that. Meanwhile, JW, what a reaction shot. Adren gone already. Hiko's playing close from the small pit with this 15 HP. Wants to try and catch them off. Goes for the peek, and JW hits that as well. In they go, and smokes on Heaven and on CT. Luckily, Elige at least able to take down Flusha, but he's going to give up on that vent position, knowing that's clearly going to be called. And although Nitro, has spotted that one has crossed over in that smoke, there's not much he can do with the CZ. And more importantly, he's got players behind him sitting at tree. So even when he wants to escape that Heaven position, there's nowhere to hide. As it is 1 man the difference. Elige does bring it back, 3 versus 3. He has the kit, keep in mind, so he's the key to this whole play right now. But Pronax takes down Fugly, and Olaf walks in behind Nitro. It's done. Fnatic will take map 1, 16-9.
Yeah, really strong start from Fnatic to kick things off, and Liquid did fight back and actually got it to 6-6, but it just wasn't enough for them. 6 rounds. I think they needed more in the first half there. Did have a reasonable second half, but just after losing the pistol, it's just too far gone for them. It seemed like they...
Well, and to be fair, I think Liquid's biggest problem was simply that 3rd round buy from Fnatic when they got out the guns early. And that just limited the economy the whole way forward. And then they lost that gun round. Again, if they could have broken them at 14, maybe there's a chance. But if they broke them earlier and got that gun round, then it would have actually given them back to like a 12-12 scoreline potentially. And then they had it within a shout.
There we go. That's going to be the first map going in favor of Fnatic. We did predict 2-0 both of us going into this one. You said potentially Liquid could get a map here, though.
I would have expected it to be cash, though. That's the thing. So now I'm not 100% certain they'll get anything.
Going into Cobble, this is Fnatic's play. It's a bit of a nightmare situation for them. Fnatic, like we know Liquid can be good on Cobble, but are they going to be good enough to take down one of the world's best teams?
The thing is, as well, is that Nitro, one of their claims to fame on it is that he's very good on the B platform on the entry. But you've also got Olaf, who plays it very aggressively. And Olaf versus Nitro, take your pick.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, well, that said, we'll hand it back over to the analyst desk. They'll break down map 1 and preview map 2.
Thanks for that, Sadakist. Really appreciate it. Well cast, boys. Be careful what you wish for, I guess, is the order of the day. They got cash. That was the map they wanted against Fnatic. And Fnatic kind of took them apart. I mean, it did get to 6-6. It was close at some point.
First half was fairly promising.
Yeah, it was. I mean, at first it looked like, all right, this is going to be a whitewash. Fnatic just all over the place. I think that when the pistol, it was Liquid plowing into B, getting like 3 inches, and then losing a 3-on-2 advantage on B site. So it sort of set the tone early on. But then it was that eco round, Tech9 buy with Smoke, say execute, getting 2 entries, winning that round that really turned the tides. That's when Liquid went on that 5-round streak and actually made it competitive.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, what was kind of the key? You know, Fnatic's economy was still strong at that point. We talked about how sometimes Fnatic, when their economy does get broken, they can be subject to losing quite a few rounds in a row. But their money was still strong at that point. So I guess we've got to give total credit to Team Liquid for just a solid performance.
They had times when it was going well, but actually, I mean, I have to put it this way. Over on the Fnatic side of things, they had my 9th and 4th best players of all time.
Yeah.
And they were going off. Olaf Meister, Crims, they were doing work in this game. Yeah. This is a really big game from the duo. And I've always said in Fnatic, that duo in particular, when they're both rolling, it really does remind me of the great duos in history, like Get Right and Forest at the beginning, old school like Potty and Heaton, you know. If both of them turn up at the same time, they play off each other so well. In fact, that's what makes this duo unique. Those other duos I mentioned, they were on the same team and they were amazing, but they tended to play different sites or different stuff. These two, they even have this crazy synergy with each other in rounds. And so it was going to be hard for Team Liquid to match that because who was going to come up so big on their side? So they had some fragging, but it wasn't quite on that level.
Reminiscent of a Henry G and Hoods G, you might say.
I didn't watch Babby CS, mate. I didn't see Kinder Price CS. I was watching the Big Boy CS.
Yeah. I did both, mate. I did both. Look, what we'll do is we'll bring up the scoreboard and we can have a look and see who was...
Premier League only for me, mate.
Yeah, I get it. That doesn't make you a connoisseur necessarily. Anyway.
Literally makes me a connoisseur. Okay.
But I guess what should be pointed out also is that we were discussing Illich before this. That
we were.
He tends to disappear in these matches, and he was actually there having a lot of impact.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, he was one of our highlighted, matchups right at the start. We were talking about him, and actually he did, I thought, had a good game considering the level of opposition he was up against.
The obvious person you have to point to here is not going to be Adren. Adren's not he's the in-game leader. Okay.
Yeah.
The big person you have to point to here is not only did Nitro only get 11 kills, which is terrible for a star player, but he gives up 22 kills as well. So the swing, basically, he was the MVP for Fnatic almost there because he's giving you nothing on your side, and then he's just like an ATM walking around the map for them, printing out $300 at a time. So really poor performance by him, despite the fact that, as we kind of mentioned, the other guys turned up. Elijah's there, Fugly's there, Hiko's there. It's all fine from those guys. Very, very poor performance from Nitro, bearing in mind this is a map that, in theory, should have been their best map.
At the same time, again, the estimate to Fnatic's strength all across the board. JW was, for me at least, he wasn't really, he was a bit absent in that match. Apart from the last few rounds.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the thing to say about that, of course, is though when everyone else is dropping 20 frags, even Pronax is chipping in with 18. You probably don't really have a lot to do you?
Also, we got the knowledge that Flasher was actually calling in this match.
Yeah, well, I mean, we saw this a few times, actually. I think it came up at Gfinity. He was sort of taking that all-important middle chair. Which is the throw.
Yeah, exactly.
See, what's interesting, you might like this, Richard, because you weren't actually there at the time. When we did DreamHack tours earlier in the year.
Yes.
So you were there, but on the day one, okay.
I was StarCraft.
You were still doing StarCraft. It was off stage, we were all on stream. And so I actually did a game with Semler. And in this game, he actually brought up this fact that Flusher was just calling again, and he was like, what do you think of that? What do you think of Flusher, the in-game leader? And I was like, well, the thing is, as an in-game leader, someone like Prolex, what he'll do is he'll use his brain to kind of like learn the patterns of where people will be on the map, kind of visualize, like, where would that guy be at this point in the game? Like, how would we attack them? The thing with Flusher is he's kind of like a prophet. He's got a visionary mind, He just knows where they are. Like, a smoke will go on, and he'll be like, I sense he's behind over here. Okay, go over there, guys. So he's actually ideally suited to be an in-game leader, I think.
I couldn't agree more.
And their playstyle was very simple.
Until we get better technology in place.
Their playstyle was very simple. They were playing a lot of contact Bs, a lot of just floating around the map and going for those picks and then make a decision right after that. So, yeah.
I've got to stop you there, though. Since all these commentators keep insisting on saying Zipex, his name's actually S1 Empel. That's actually how you have to pronounce it, I'm afraid.
We need to Keep your petty grievances
okay.
out of it.
Do we get a hashtag somewhere there as well?
Yeah, well, petty.
Wait a minute, you mean these desks aren't about my petty grievances and scoring points? What have I been doing all these years? Well, I'm supposed to be analysing the game.
Did no one tell you that? Right. So anyway, let's we get to
my whole life is a lie, Rich.
We're going to bring up the heat maps so you can take a look at these. And I guess this is where Natu's supposed to come in and tell us what the heat means. Right?
All right, let's see what's going on here. Yeah, well, I mean, you can tell. I was just talking about how Fnatic was playing very, very simple, just like contact bomb site kind of gameplay.
Yeah.
Sort of, I think that paints a picture. There's not a lot of action going on in the middle. It's a lot on the sites.
Yeah, I mean, again, you can see a lot of action going on in B there. If you look over on Fnatic's side as well, just over here. You know, I sort of thought that actually the one thing I will say about Team Liquid was the executes onto A. I thought maybe they tried to force that a little bit too much. It kind of felt at times that, you know, they were putting the smokes down, they were running out, they were just getting decimated, like pretty much every time.
It was a lot. Yeah, I mean, Crims was just on fire.
Yeah.
He was just destroying people. He spotted one, sprayed down 3 people through the smoke.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. But at what point do you think? Yeah, maybe.
Well, I mean, obviously, through the later rounds, they tried to get mid control, but that's when Fnatic was switching gears and they actually were playing really aggressively middle. They're destroying Liquid over there. So, I mean, you know, they did try sort of everything. In 6 rounds, I think it's a fair score against Fnatic on T-side Cash.
So, predicated on that A performance, it's probably no surprise who our most valuable player for that map is.
Maybe it starts with a K. Magic happens.
There it is, Shazam. It is Crims.
Shazam.
Barely recognizable.
I never thought I'd hear the name Shazam in an MVP performance, you know, so...
Yeah, I keep forgetting about it. There is a player called Shazam. We love you, brother.
He does exist. It's factually true he's a player.
Yeah, that is correct. So you can see 23 kills, 12 of which were headshots. Very good KDA. Obviously, was making first kills primarily in the defensive
Look how many assists you get. Usually, if you get a lot of kills, you don't get as many assists because you're finishing them off, you know?
Yeah.
Usually, it's when you have the lower kill front, but you just tagged a load of guys. He's got 8 assists as well. So, yeah, this was a very dominant performance. But as usual, a monster 2.13 KDA performance from Crims. It isn't actually like a JW 25 kills where you've got all these highlights and you're like, wow, I can't believe that kill. It's just so workmanlike. You're like, you could almost do it every game, it feels like.
But this is his strength, you know. We talk about this. It's like the benchmark of a good player is, are you making your frag? The frag that you're supposed to make when you're holding, you know, a site, or if you're an entry fragger. It's about making that one. He doesn't just make one, he makes 2, and they're not spectacular. But to be able to do that is worth its weight in gold. That's putting you in a 5-on-3 situation immediately, almost every round. That's why it's the best players.
He was the one that was stepping up when Liquid started climbing to that game. That's when they had that streak going on. It was Crims that made those kills happen. That's what turned the tides in the end towards Fnatic.
The thing is, I agree, Crims is definitely worth his weight in gold. The problem is, I don't like that as a metric for how to pay people because then Fnatic could be bankrupt with JW and Flusher, so... Oh no! Wait, because Pronax is pretty light, so maybe he'd even it out.
Balances out. That's the thing. As if you were sat.
So he's thinking about it, like, what does that mean in a real context? That's right. It's a joke. Yeah.
Okay. As if you were sat there thinking, how can I work this in the weight thing? Anyway, right. So let's start.
Yes, there was the bacon.
I know. It's just unreal, isn't it? Like so unprofessional. All right. So anyway, we're moving on to Cobblestone now. So we're gonna bring that up. We've got it here. I think you guys will be able to see it at home very shortly. But let's talk about this map. I mean, this for me is where it's like. It's going to be a nightmare for Team Liquid. They've just got so many strengths on this particular map. In that drop-down area as well, we've seen JW start playing there. I don't want a rifle, mate. I'll take a Mag 7. I'll take a sawn off. I don't even need to buy real guns. And the thing with that is, it shouldn't work. It should be ridiculous. It should be stupid. But actually, he's getting 2-3 kills every time people contest him in the drop-down area.
Yeah, this map really highlights individual intuition, being able to read situations, and when you get those first kills, you can just fly with it. So, I mean, that's where Fnatic really is. That's their bread and butter. The
thing is, I mentioned this yesterday when I was talking about the fact that for Fnatic, one of the reasons why I think they used to be so good on Inferno is on the CT side, it was almost like if you hadn't put the team together yet and you'd asked each person separately, which position should you play? He'd be like, oh, I'm in B, I'll be connected. And then you put them all together like, oh, everyone's already in their position. That's the dream, obviously, for your map. Feels like on Cobblestone, that's become the new map like that in a sense. Because think about how most teams prioritize going to that B site. That's where you're rushing, you're going to overrun the site. Olaf Mice is like one of the best on the platform. JW is unreal in the dropper. If you get into the site, Flusher's just sitting in. You throw those smokes down to get into the site. Flusher's sat behind those smokes, waiting to come out, win 1v3s. Their coverage on that B site is really unreal on this map.
Yeah, the thing is, you may actually see on this one as well, a lot of rounds that go down to 30 seconds even with nothing going on. It's going to be 5-on-5 at that point. And then all of a sudden, Olaf Meister happens, JW happens, Crims happens. CT just dive line.
I mean, it's interesting. I actually think in this map, where Fnatic are going to be so dominant, as we've seen, I think Hiko's got a particular weight of responsibility on his shoulders this map, because I think it's going to come down to clutches.
He's definitely worth his weight in gold. Just ask Team Liquid.
One thing that
I wish I'd never said it now, Duncan. I feel like
Okay.
I'm in this instance, I don't want to set them up for you to knock them down.
it's going to be
you are doing
could be interesting for me to see, because like I pointed out before, Liquid does have a lot of great executes on the B bomb side. The way they go is just together one wave, kind of an attack, trading kills properly. How does it actually work against a team like Fnatic? It worked against lower tier teams, but Fnatic obviously a different story. It's going to be an interesting prospect.
Yeah. No, is there any other particular players that you feel we should be highlighting? We've talked about JW in that drop down area. Is there anyone else that has a particular forte on this map? No?
No one really comes to mind.
So what about Olafmeister aggressive on that B plat? That's kind of what I was hoping.
Oh, right, on Fnatic side. I thought you meant for Liquid.
No, either.
Okay.
Could be either. Anyone. So
yeah, I think Olafmeister is particularly good, especially because a lot of people who cover that position, like you'll see a lot of the AWPers cover that actually, and they'll cover it from like further back on the platform or the chicken coop or something, or sometimes they go up on the platform with the AWP. He plays it 100% with the rifle almost, and he's one of those guys who's really good at knowing when to use his smoke. Like, when people do wait super long to go and attack that B site, he'll wait till, like, okay, I throw it now because then if they come through 10 seconds later, that's when I'm going to be in an ideal position. His timing's really good on that. And also, even when he's on force buys, like he has like an SMG or CZ or something, he's really good at knowing how to go up close without being a free kill. Because if you play against someone normally there and they're lower, that little cobby area, and you just run out, normally that's a free kill up close. But if you play that like he can, that's the ideal range for the CZ, actually, if you know what you're doing. So I think he's definitely a specialist at that position.
Yeah. Anyone else to add on to it, or has Duncan stole the thunder?
I think he did. Yeah, it's going to be all of my search show here, probably.
Well, so let's just get quick predictions in terms of scores.
I think it's going to be pretty convincing. I think this is going to be a return to the old days. It's going to be like a 16-5, 16-6 Fnatic.
Yeah, I mean, do we know who starts which side? I guess we don't.
Obviously, it is going to be side dependent. Well, maybe not actually. With Fnatic on this particular map.
Yeah, I mean, for me, if Fnatic actually starts on T side, they're going to run with it. So, yeah, I think actually the one that starts on T side is going to have the I think that's going to be the biggest difference maker when it comes to scoreline. I feel like if Fnatic starts on T side, yeah, they're going to just dismantle Liquid.
Okay, well, we'll see if you boys are right. Thanks a lot for your thoughts. Now, what we're going to do is we are just going to go to a quick break before we bring you that second map. And when we say quick break, we don't mean like ESWC. We will be back shortly. See you then.
The SMGs in play to find the shots. Maybe they wait decently inside the site, but they haven't found any kills in doing it. Onto both Fugly, Hiko, and now Nitro getting absolutely obliterated when he walks in. That's bomb down out of the hands of Elige. And Nitro falling so fast that if Liquid doesn't do the same, they're going to get caught off. That's happened, but Tor and the spray down from Crims. Lock his side.
Olafmeister and JW. They've lost a few rounds in a row here. It's actually getting a little bit messy for them. So Liquid fighting back.
In this situation, he's going to flash himself this time, but Pronax has gone back into the vent, so luckily he'll get through. Meanwhile, though, Crims is doubling up again. Elige and Nitro both gone already, and there's the third as he takes it Dren. 6 kills in the last. But as we talk about it, the rush actually does come into A, and Fugly is going to obliterate.
Probably going to be sticking with the full pistols here, maybe upgrading some of the to P250, some CZs perhaps, but that seems like all they can really do here is it will go to round number 14. You would assume, which Fnatic, considering they have the going towards highway, you actually have a viable chance of getting a kill instead of just doing some pepper shots down towards it and doing a little bit of damage. So